This young man was named Yob, a hero who sacrificed himself to save humanity. Before he died, he told his teammates to engrave his name into history. When he opened his eyes again, he accidentally discovered that he had come back to life 17 years after the day the world became peaceful. But how the hell did only the names of his teammates get recorded in history books, while he is the one who directly sacrificed himself to save this world? Ended up as nothing, completely forgotten by everyone. At a dark palace, the surrounding space was filled with smoke and fire. Countless flames shot straight toward the palace, as if trying to completely destroy it. The final dungeon had been cleared. A man rushed over in a panic, shouting loudly while running, "The dungeon is collapsing." The loud commotion from the group had alarmed the Reapers in the dungeon. They swarmed out, filled with hatred, intent on wiping out the intruders. A soldier glanced back to check on the Reapers, while urging hurry up and get to the exit. He forced himself to suppress the fear in his heart and shouted loudly to warn his teammates ahead. "If you stop even for a second, you'll die." The Reapers kept swarming in from who knows where, constantly letting out terrifying sounds from within. Exterminate, eliminate, destroy all the lowly ground dwellers who dare to destroy our land. Seeing that the soldiers scattered in panic, "Damn it, there are too many of them. At this rate, they'll catch up to us." Suddenly, a powerful force descended out of nowhere. The figure of a tall knight appeared, standing firmly in front of the Reaper's spear, in one hand, shield in the other, ready for battle. Without turning back, he called out to everyone. The sound of his voice made the other soldiers stop and turn around in shock. One of them, clearly anxious, hurriedly asked, "What are you doing, Yob?" The knight turned his head upon hearing that and gave a mischievous smile that didn't suit the situation at all. Pointing toward his teammates, he calmly spoke words that sounded like a final farewell. "If you make it out, each of you has to write me a biography." At another time back in modern life, the streets were still bustling with people. The crowd hurried along without a second thought. Humanity was unaware of a lonely shadow walking among them, striding forward, lost in thought, unaware that they were not the only beings in existence. At that moment, the man in black accidentally bumped shoulders with a young man walking in the opposite direction. The other guy, clearly annoyed, immediately turned and cursed, "Hey dumbass, watch where you're going, you dog." But the moment he finished speaking, that gaze changed drastically. The face beneath the black cloak looked just like death itself. Blood-red eyes flashed with killing intent, and a deadly aura began to surge around him. Establish an underground civilization on Earth. A deadly power engulfed the air around, making the street and ground tremble. Humanity began to panic. Those who lived beneath the surface as residents of the underworld belonged to a civilization completely different from the one built above. Suddenly, a hand reached out from the hazy smoke. A monster appeared out of nowhere, carrying with it a sinister purple mist that drove people into a frantic, terrified escape. Time seemed to warp. The monsters swarmed in, flooding and surrounding a corner of the city, and their numbers only seemed to keep growing. Due to the sudden invasion of the underground dwellers, humanity was on the brink of extinction. The military quickly arrived to respond, and humanity launched a counterattack, but no weapon could inflict any damage on them. The monsters operated under the control of the Reaper, who commanded them. They seemed to possess mysterious powers. The creatures furiously charged at the military forces, carrying within them something that could nullify all of the army's attacks. But this situation couldn't last forever. Not long after, the tide began to shift. The mysterious power of the underground world quickly began to affect humans. Thanks to that, humans seemed to gain a new source of power, and a small number of those affected by it transformed into superhumans, mastering strange abilities never seen before. These superhumans also carried a heavy mission. Together with their newly awakened powers, humanity fought back against the underground dwellers. And the tide seemed to turn for the better, as one by one the dungeons of the underground world were destroyed. Humanity once again rekindled a spark of hope. And after countless efforts and battles, under the witness of thousands upon thousands of people, at the final dungeon gate, 7 outstanding young men gathered. In the spring of 2005, the 7 strongest superhumans united 7 individuals, representing all of humanity. They conquered the final dungeon, the very core of the underground world, putting an end to the long and grueling war. For their sacrifices, dedication, and achievements, they came to be known as the Seven Saviors of Humanity. They returned and lived in the utmost favor and respect of humanity. They were granted honors, and whenever they appeared, all attention immediately turned to them. They lived in endless fortune and glory. But no battle ends without loss. There was one who never made it back. Humanity returned to a peaceful life, and they did not forget the sacrifice of that hero. At the unveiling ceremony of the Seon Job Monument, Seo Moon Yob, the leader of the 7 strongest superhumans, was the only one who could not bask in the glory of triumph and rewards. The monument stood tall, a symbol of salvation. While the surviving heroes became stars, this one remained a silent savior. The unveiling ceremony began, and the cloth covering the statue was pulled away. The statue was unveiled in the presence of the other 6 saviors and the overwhelming excitement of humanity. The fallen savior had become a legend, and just like that, 17 years passed. Back to the present day in Korea. At the International Battlefield Arena of Seoul, the game to choose representatives for the International Battlefield was underway. Match A, Korea versus France. The arena echoed with the sounds of fierce energy. It's a major crisis. The sounds of commentary from the match continuously echoed, reflecting the intense tension inside the arena. France had begun their assault, but our players' things seemed unbalanced. They were unable to fight back. Nathan moved with extraordinary skill, effortlessly defeating his opponents without giving them a chance to fight back. He attacked our players without hesitation. A dangerous black mist surrounding him. He looked like an emotionless assassin. The commentator's shocked voice rang out. 6 kills. Nathan has taken down 6 players all by himself. Nathan arrogantly smiled at his unprecedented achievement. Has any player ever done this since the International Battlefield tournament began? Outside the arena, watching the situation unfold, Jaho couldn't hold back and cursed under his breath, damn it. The 2 commentators continued to update the match situation. A performance exactly as expected from the 3rd-ranked superhuman in his age group. Our national team had been almost completely wiped out without being able to fight back. At this point, only one girl remained on the field. The last standing player was Hayon. Her strength didn't seem to compare to Nathan's. It was a battle with a slim chance of victory for her, but she didn't flinch. Without hesitation, she charged forward to attack, charging straight at Nathan. She quickly closed the distance and engaged the opponent directly using her signature weapon, a whip to face Nathan head-on. But he effortlessly dodged her attacks. The spectators in the stands were drawn in by every strike on the field. Down below, Jaho couldn't hide his tension. Hayon kept attacking relentlessly. But then suddenly a voice echoed in her ear, as expected from the daughter of one of the 7 heroes. Nathan had somehow appeared right beside her without warning and immediately counterattacked. "But you'll never beat me," he said coldly. His eyes gleamed with disdain. "Not with a team like that." Moments later, Hayon was taken down by a single slash from him. The announcement echoed through the arena. Hayon has been eliminated. Korea has suffered a complete defeat. The final victor and MVP of the match was Nathan Berner from the French national team. Our national team was unable to stop Nathan. In the 2nd round, Nathan secured his 7th kill, putting an end to the match between Korea and France with an overwhelming score of 0-11. From the stands, angry voices erupted. What a disgrace Korea once had, so many superhumans. Disappointed words from the commentators echoed alongside. Jaho's heavy sighs. A veteran who had taken part in clearing countless dungeons during the era of the Underground War, he could no longer keep up with the changes of time. This result was truly a bitter blow for him, an overwhelming disappointment. Every comment felt like a stab to his heart, especially for a nation that had given birth to 2 of the 7 saviors, Seo Moon Yob and Jaho. His hand gripped the railing tightly, trying to suppress the emotions welling up inside. And just like that, the match ended in a devastating defeat for one side. The 2 commentators couldn't stop lamenting even after the match was over. France is a strong team, but we can't deny that this match was heartbreaking. I'm sure the people of our country are deeply disappointed. Netizens also voiced their reactions to the result. Is this really a nation can't survive without Seo Moon Yob? Countless comments from disappointment to blame flooded in. Is this truly the homeland of Seo Moon-yob and Baek Jaho? I'm genuinely heartbroken, lol. I just got slapped in the face by the government again. I should have known when they said they'd ban the battlefield because of its violent nature. How can we participate properly when there's no battlefield player left in the country? The audience in the stands also stood up in unison, shouting in protest. Get off the stage. You call this an international match? Their overwhelming fury was written all over their faces. Change the national team. Baek Hayon is the only one with real strength. Within the team, harsh words continued to pour out. Do you think we paid to watch a match like this? Baek Jaho stood silently to the side, alone, hearing every word of blame from the crowd. His mind was in complete turmoil. This was one of the 7 heroes, Baek Jaho. He quietly looked down at the arena floor. This was the 3rd loss since he had become head coach of the national team. Hayon also left her seat at that moment, disconnecting her link module, ending the match. Jaho looked on helplessly at his own team, and just like the spectators had said, aside from Hayon, the rest are nobodies. At that moment, Hayon couldn't hide the fear in her heart, while Jaho remained deep in thought. Korean superhumans were once known for their strength and unshakable will, but now, it's nothing more than a story of the past. He didn't stay any longer and turned to leave. Their mindset and skills are rock bottom. Those with real potential have already left. As that thought crossed his mind, the image of a fallen comrade resurfaced in his memory. He opened the door and stepped into the coach's waiting room, striding toward a corner of the room before stopping in his tracks. Jaho couldn't help but let out a heavy sigh full of helplessness. Then he looked up. Seo Moon-yob. He silently stared at the photo in front of him, his voice laced with sorrow. If you were still alive, that would be great. In that photo, a young Baek Jaho stood close beside Seo Moon-yob, who still wore that same rebellious, carefree smile on his lips. Jaho's heart quietly sank. He stood there like that for a while until a knock came from outside. The assistant stepped in and announced, "Coach, you need to attend the interview." The young man hesitated a moment. Everyone is waiting. Hearing that, Jaho let out a sharp breath and bitterly replied, "Yes, I need to go apologize to the public." He strode out of the room, lightly patting the assistant's shoulder. "That's the reason they pushed me up as head coach." The assistant tensed up at those words. "Coach, you can't say things like that while walking. It's hopeless." Jaho cut him off. The assistant panicked. What do you mean?" Jaho calmly replied, "This team is beyond saving. They're too weak, lacking both talent and even the most basic mentality." The assistant quickly tried to persuade him. "It hasn't been long since you became head coach, and we've only just started." But Jaho was firm. "No, I'll announce my resignation during this interview." The assistant gasped, "See, coach." But Jaho ignored him and walked away decisively. "Unless Moon-yob comes back to life. This is enough for me. I should step down before my name gets dragged down any further." The assistant, still anxious, pleaded, "If even you leave, this team will lose all hope." But Jaho had already made up his mind. He couldn't pass up this chance. With a face full of resignation, he muttered, "Finally, I get to retire." Suddenly, his phone rang. "Why did you come out from that place?" Jaho looked at the caller ID and thought to himself, "The president of the association, probably calling to scold me." Still, he immediately answered, "Yes, President." A rushed voice came through the line. "Have you heard the news?" Jaho sighed inwardly that he knew it. Then he replied at once, "About the national team disgracing the country with that humiliating loss. Yes, I saw it with my own eyes." But the voice on the other end quickly interrupted. "No, I'm not talking about that." Jaho, growing impatient, asked, "Then what is it?" Whatever was said next caused his face to turn pale. He lost his composure and shouted, "What did you just say? Say that again." At that moment, a dimensional gate opened up in the sky, and from within it, a knight clad in armor holding a spear came falling down, landing right at the site of the Seo Moon-yob memorial statue. The commotion instantly drew the attention of everyone nearby. The place where he landed was Gwanghwamun Square. The monument stood where 3 great figures were honored: Admiral Yi Sun-sin, the great King Sejong, and one more man. The man hailed as a legend, the one who had saved 6 heroes 17 years ago by sacrificing himself. That man was Seo Moon-yob. Amid the crowd, a voice rang out. Someone just fell from the sky wearing armor. Immediately, a group of people rushed toward the base of the statue where the knight had landed, taking photos and filming as the scene unfolded. Immediately, someone in the crowd recognized the knight's identity. "Isn't that Seo Moon Yob? It's Seo Moon Yob." Jaho stood frozen in shock at the news, completely still, while the voice on the phone kept shouting, "Are you deaf? Didn't you hear what I just said?" At that moment, Seo Moon Yob stirred slightly. The people gathered around gasped and erupted in excitement. Seo Moon Yob has returned alive. Waves of overwhelming power clashed in the air, creating a tense and electrified atmosphere. Alone, Seo Moon Yob stood amidst a swarm of Death Knights, his jaw clenched and eyes sharp with caution. Suddenly, one of them lunged at him from behind, but he quickly sensed the ambush and struck it down without hesitation. Yet countless more surged toward him, causing a flicker of worry. He swiftly regained his composure, and the long spear in his hand began to shine brilliantly. A determined glint flashed in his eyes. The Death Knight circled and stalked him relentlessly. At that very moment, the massive portal behind Seo Moon Yob slammed shut completely. Seeing that, he muttered to himself, "The dungeon gate." A flicker of relief passed through his eyes. It's finally closed. Gazing at the shadowy figures of the underworld before him, now with no more burdens holding him back, he said calmly, "Well then, that's fine." Without hesitation, he shifted into a life-or-death combat stance. Seo Moon Yob shouted loudly, "Why don't we just settle this with a fight to the death?" Back to reality, a pair of eyes suddenly snapped open. Seo Moon Yob, dressed in a hospital gown, sat up abruptly from a nightmare. He sat there gasping for breath for a while. At that moment, a nurse walked in. "Ah, patient, you're awake." Seo Moon Yob rubbed his head in confusion. He hesitantly asked the nurse, "Where am I?" The nurse immediately responded with concern. "How are you feeling now? This is a hospital." Upon hearing that, Seo Moon Yob was utterly stunned. "What?" From the VIP hospital room of patient Seo Moon Yob came a piercing shout. "It's 2022, not 2005. He gripped the blanket tightly in disbelief. "This doesn't make any sense. When I entered the final dungeon, I was definitely in 2005. The nurse looked a bit unsure of what to do, but still patiently explained, "You must be very confused, right? I think I should explain your current situation a bit, but hold on a second." Then she turned and picked up the TV remote, turned on the television, and pointed to the screen. "Do you see that over there?" The TV was airing a news broadcast, and the headline was about him. "This is today's news." The anchor's voice rang out. "Seo Moon Yob is currently receiving treatment at the hospital." Seo Moon Yob listened attentively. Seo Moon Yob, the leader of the 7 heroes who was rumored to have died, has returned after 17 years and is now undergoing treatment. The screen showed an image of him falling from the sky. Mr. Seo Moon Yob fell from the sky at Gwanghwamun and was discovered right in front of his own statue. Although he was unconscious, doctors reported that his life is not in danger, and he only sustained minor injuries. Gwanghwamun, which means light fire door, is the name of the northern gate of Gyeongbokgung Palace. During the Japanese occupation, soldiers destroyed much of the palace and moved Gwanghwamun to the east to diminish the palace's significance. They later built the government building on the original site of Gwanghwamun as a symbol of their power. It was finally restored in August 2010 and has since become a tourist attraction. Seo Moon Yob continued listening intently to the news, not missing a single detail. He was still wearing the exact same gear he had on when he entered the final dungeon back in 2005. And perhaps because he was a superhuman, his appearance hadn't changed at all after 17 years. But the next piece of news left him bewildered. Therefore, some experts are cautiously proposing that a space-time distortion might have occurred. That concludes today's news report. Even after hearing the broadcast, Seo Moon Yob couldn't shake his confusion and doubt. Has it really been over 10 years? But just a few days ago, it was still 2005. The nurse patiently replied and pointed toward the window. "That's right, that's why it's so chaotic out there." Seo Moon Yob followed her gesture and looked outside, only to see a massive crowd of reporters already gathered. After you were transferred here, the journalists rooted themselves out there like that, she explained. The reporters were watching his every move, their cameras aimed directly at him, as if afraid to miss a single shot of his return. Seeing that Seo Moon-yob clenched his teeth and cursed, "These bastards are still the same as before. It's been 17 years. Then he turned to the nurse and said, "Let me borrow a mirror for a moment." The nurse quickly responded, "A mirror. Just a second, I'll get one for you." She promptly brought him a mirror. "Will this do?" He immediately took it and stared into his reflection. Seeing a face that hadn't changed at all left him stunned. I really haven't aged a bit. He could hardly believe what he was seeing. A storm of questions swirled in his mind. There's no way a 47-year-old could look this young. Did space-time really get distorted? That's impossible. I've never even heard of anything like this happening over the past 17 years. But if this world is the future 17 years later, then what about my current self? Suddenly, something seemed to click in his mind. Wait. His face went pale as he quickly turned to the nurse, stammering, "By the way, my savings." The nurse, being someone who kept up with the news, was able to respond immediately. "Oh, that well. All of your previous assets, in accordance with your wishes, were entirely donated to the Child Protection Association. Because of every child you saved, Seo Moon-yob, you donated everything you had." Hearing that, he cursed under his breath, "Damn it." Then stammering, he asked a few more questions, and the nurse patiently answered. "What about my house? It's been turned into a museum because it was the birthplace of the famous S. And my car, it was auctioned off for charity." Upon hearing this, Seo Moon-yob looked like a man who had lost his soul. He trembled, clenching his fists as he thought about his own future. He couldn't stay in the hospital forever. Not only was he broke, he was basically homeless now. At that moment, he looked utterly dejected at the pitiful state he was in. "Damn it, if I had known, I would have kept a little for myself." The nurse could only give an awkward chuckle, "Ah ha 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 ha," before gently offering him some comfort. "Don't worry too much. You're the hero who saved the world. Do you really think anyone would forget that? In fact, Mr. Beck Jaho has already heard the news about you and contacted us. I'll call him now to check when he'll be coming." With that, she made the call immediately. He said he'll be here soon." Seo Moon-yob, now a bit more composed, nodded, "I see." Seeing that he had calmed down, the nurse politely excused herself. "I'll step out for a bit. If you need anything, please feel free to press the call button." The door to the hospital room slowly closed behind her. Seo Moon-yob sat there in a daze for a while, lost in thought. Even though he had witnessed everything with his own eyes, he still couldn't believe it. He decided to wait until his close friend arrived. "I'll ask Jaho for the full details later. For now, I should check the condition of my body first." With that, he immediately activated his superpower, the Analyzing Eye. A status panel appeared in front of him. Analyzing Eye, the eye that can analyze and visualize the talents and abilities of living beings. Only the user can see this information. This was the very superpower that allowed him to become the world's strongest superhuman. He thought to himself about his ability. This eye doesn't just assess the target's current abilities. This was truly an invincible superpower. Not only could it assess current ability, but it could even measure future potential. That was the reason behind his unparalleled strength. Thanks to it, he was able to grow faster than anyone else. As a result, he rose to become a raid leader early on, storming dungeons while still young. He had already been featured on the front pages of major newspapers with glorious headlines like "Dungeon Bad Boy," "Charges in like a meteor," and "The youngest raid commander yet." With another successful raid under his belt, in a newly discovered dungeon, his fame only continued to rise. But it didn't stop there. He even had people come begging to become his disciples. "Please take me as your student." And the one who said that was none other than Baek Jaho. Jaho would later become one of the 7 heroes. His superpower allowed him to clearly understand the abilities of the person in front of him. Target: Baek Jaho. Human. Strength 4270, Agility 65-100, Speed 60-99, Endurance 39-69, Intellect 59-90, Skill 35-70, Aura 33-72, Superpower Teleportation. After reading the stats, he was slightly surprised. What the hell, I thought he was just some low-tier guy. but I didn't expect his potential to be this high. After some consideration, he finally agreed. All right, I'll take you as my disciple, but if you die while following me, I won't be held responsible. Jaho was momentarily stunned, but quickly pulled himself together. What understood, I'll do my best to survive, also nurtured by these very eyes. Back to the present, he scanned through his own abilities. Target SEO Moon Yob. Human. Strength 79-79. Agility 97-97. Speed 76-77. Endurance 91-91. Intellect 110-100. Skill 100-100. Aura 100-100. Superpower analytical eyes. Throw immortal. As he read, he couldn't help but be amazed. Strength 79. Not bad at all, but one detail really caught him off guard. Intellect 110. Moonyob furrowed his brows in confusion. Isn't 100 supposed to be the maximum for human capabilities, yet here it was, 110. Then he noticed something else, a new superpower. A superpower he'd never had before had now appeared: immortality. You are immune to death caused by physical means. He sat there stunned. Had he ever possessed an ability like that? Thinking back, he realized this must be a new power formed from a special situation. He speculated, so it was born from that battle, huh? Then it was as if something clicked in his mind. But before he could finish that thought, a voice called out from outside the door, Yob. He immediately turned toward it and saw Jaho rushing in breathless. He softly spoke, still slightly uncertain. Are you Jaho? The moment Jaho laid eyes on him, tears welled up instantly. His voice trembled. Yob, you really came back. Seeing Jaho like that, Seo Moon Yob smiled warmly. Looks like you've gotten more soft-hearted, huh? Baek Jaho quickly wiped his tears, but in the end he couldn't hold it back. He looked up with a grin, smiling like a child. I'm just so relieved. Later that night, darkness had fallen over the city, wrapping everything in its quiet shroud. Seo Moon Yob and Baek Jaho stood side by side on the rooftop, gazing out at the glowing lights of the city below. Seo Moon Yob turned slightly and asked with a playful tone, Hey, are you done crying yet? Jaho chuckled and replied cheerfully, What you'll get it one day. The older you get, the more you cry. Moon Yob grinned and teased, But I'm still young, so I wouldn't know. Then he shifted the topic. Anyway, you still kept that promise, huh? Jaho blinked in confusion. What promise? Seo Moon Yob quickly reminded him, My story, remember, buddy? At that, Jaho nodded with recognition. Ah, that one. Jaho began to recount. I hired a ghostwriter to write it for me. He's a famous sci-fi novelist. The autobiography is called The Man Who Saved the World, Seo Moon Yob. Hearing that, Moon Yob asked with mild surprise, so that's how the story begins. Jaho cheerfully added, There's even documentation and a movie adaptation. They turned it into some kind of mythological tale. Well, whatever the content, it became incredibly popular. In fact, the movie topped global box office sales. Seo Moon Yob fell silent for a moment, lost in thought before murmuring, So then, what am I supposed to do now? He began to share the confusion that had been weighing on him since waking up. I thought I died in the dungeon. But when I opened my eyes, I was in a hospital. 17 years had passed, and now everything is filled with things I've never seen before. I think it's called a smartphone. It's truly amazing. I'm sure I'm not hallucinating, but none of this feels real. Jaho quietly listened to his friend's heartfelt words. Even though I saved the world, the reality is I'm just a penniless, homeless man. Hearing that, Jaho stepped forward, gave him a reassuring pat on the shoulder, and smiled brightly. That's what friends are for. If you need money, just say the word. Seo Moon Yob looked at him with a mixture of surprise and gratitude. Wow, seems like you've really matured, Jaho. I guess you've had a lucky 17 years. Did you start a business or something? Jaho answered honestly, I got the money from dungeon raids. After that big underground battle, I received a reward. I mean, what else was I supposed to do after suddenly getting that much money? There's a limit to how much you can earn anyway. Seo Moon Yob raised an eyebrow in confusion. That's odd. With that much money, how did an idiot like you not manage to fail at business? His words stabbed right into Baek Jaho's sore spot. Though reluctant, Jaho still admitted, It's painful to say, but I handed it over to the professionals. Seo Moon Yob immediately shot back. So that means you're unemployed, right? Jaho quickly denied it. Not exactly. I have something else I'm doing. Seo Moon Yob pressed further. What are you doing? Jaho replied softly, his voice getting lower and lower, as if he really didn't want to say it. Head coach of the national representatives. Seo Moon Yob was confused and asked, why did your voice suddenly drop? Wait, head coach. Coach of what? Jaho sighed and pulled out his phone. Hold on a second, he searched for something. Then handed it to Moon Yob. Here, take a look at this. Moon Yob reached out and took the phone. What's this? On the screen were scenes from several matches on a battlefield. Seo Moon Yob found the images strangely familiar and asked, what is this? Isn't this the dungeon we raided? Didn't it all disappear? Jaho immediately explained, this is a virtual reality sport called Battlefield. Seo Moon Yob looked puzzled. Battlefield. Jaho continued, they recreated the dungeon inside a virtual reality space and use it for team competitions. It's a sport now. Jaho tried to explain thoroughly so Seo Moon Yob could understand. You can think of it as a new kind of business that gives unemployed superhumans something to do after the war. But since it was insanely popular from the very start, it's now become the most mainstream sport. Seo Moon Yob finished watching the video and commented, clearly unimpressed. Feels like a bunch of kids messing around trying to mock me. Jaho immediately defended it. That's not true. High-level players aren't just on par with the 7 heroes. Winning the Battlefield World Cup is considered a matter of national pride. Seo Moon Yob nodded slowly. So that's how it is, huh? Then he suddenly asked, so what's South Korea like these days? Jaho blinked in confusion. Huh? What do you mean? Seo Moon Yob teased, going deaf in your old age, then repeated his question. What's South Korea like now? Before Jaho could answer, he made a guess. Even though our population is small, we've got a lot of powerful people, right? If it's just some kid's game, then I bet our ranking's pretty high. As he spoke, he casually picked up a cup of water, aiming to toss it into a trash can across the rooftop. That distance is about... Jaho hesitated, unsure how to respond. After a pause, he finally mumbled awkwardly, to be honest, Korea is dead last. The moment those words landed, Seo Moon Yob missed his throw, the cup flying off target. He froze on the spot, completely stunned by Jaho's response. An awkward silence filled the air. Moon Yob turned back to look at Jaho in disbelief, his mouth slowly opening in shock. What did you just say? Night had fallen, but the streets were still bustling with the steady stream of cars. Jaho spoke softly. When the great demon disappears, the next demon is always the first to act. Sitting beside him, Moon Yob looked confused. Huh, what are you talking about? Jaho explained, that's why our country has become weak on the battlefield. Moon Yob was taken aback. What, that makes no sense. Jaho continued, after the war ended, many high-ranking officials were worried about superhumans who had nowhere to return to. They didn't know when one of us might turn against them or something like that. Upon hearing that, Moon Yob immediately understood. Those people never change. Jaho kept his eyes on the road while adding more context. That's why the battlefield was normalized under the excuse that superhumans have the potential to cause harm. They wanted to bring people like us under national control. I'm no different, only now do I really see it. Seo Moon Yob understood immediately. I get it now. All the Korean superhumans who were once considered powerful ended up changing their nationality and becoming players or coaches for other countries. Jaho looked a bit embarrassed. Yeah, that's right, Seo Moon Yob continued. Even back then, so many people tried to exploit every aspect of us. I should have shattered their knees while I had the chance. Jaho chuckled and teased, but you complained about everyone from politicians all the way up to the president. Moon Yob replied calmly, because it pissed me off when they tried to use me. That was me going easy on them. Jaho was visibly uncomfortable but still spoke up. Anyway, our starting point was pretty low, so the average player ranking in Korea is rather low too. Then he looked at Seo Moon Yob cautiously. So Yob? But before he could finish, Moon Yob flatly cut him off. No. Jaho flinched. Hey, I haven't even said anything yet, but Moon Yob didn't give him a chance. It's obvious what you're trying to say. You're trying to drag me into this whole market or whatever. Jaho tried to persuade him. Come on, you're only 30. Your skills are in their prime right now. Don't you think it'd be a waste? But he didn't seem to care about any of that. I'm not wasting anything, so don't worry, he said firmly, then voiced his true intention. I don't want to live as a superhuman anymore. My life as a superhuman ended heroically in that final dungeon. Jaho still tried to salvage the conversation. You don't have to carry out any duties anymore. It's just a sport now. But Seo Moon-yeob dismissed his words completely. I never did any of that out of duty. Do I look like someone who fights for others? He sighed, frustrated. When I was a kid, I fought just to survive. After becoming a superhuman, I fought just to be recognized. Then he turned the question around. So isn't it time I finally live for myself? He thought about how his name had started appearing in headlines again. And besides, if I said I'd enter the battlefield, the media would go insane. The savior of the world, Seo Moon-yeob, now returns to save Korea. That's how they'll spin it. And everyone will start expecting and depending on me again. Seeing how resolute he was, Jaho could only ask one thing. Doesn't the battlefield excite you at all? Moon-yeob answered without hesitation. No, I hate feeling like some kind of clown. At that point, Jaho gave up trying to convince him. Fine, whatever. It's up to you. At that moment, Seo Moon-yeob's gaze was drawn to something outside. Then he suddenly spoke up. But I don't think Korea's superhumans have completely failed. Jaho looked a bit confused. What are you talking about? Seo Moon-yeob pointed outside. We still have superhumans like that. Outside was a massive billboard featuring Hayon. Seo Moon-yeob stared at it and subconsciously muttered, "She's gorgeous. Look at those eyes, so seductive." Jaho's voice instantly turned cold, making Moon-yeob freeze. "That's my daughter." Seo Moon-yeob was visibly shocked. Hayon. Wasn't she 6 years old? Jaho's face darkened. It's been 17 years. She's 23 now. Embarrassed, Moon-yeob scratched his head. Ah, right. She's really pretty. But looking at her now, it's like seeing her from 17 years ago. Jaho immediately cut him off. "Yob, that's enough." Moon-yeob, seeing Jaho like that, could only apologize. "Sorry." The car continued cruising down the road, but the two passengers inside had gone quiet, no longer speaking. After a while, they finally arrived at Jaho's home, and the navigation system announced their destination. As they stepped through the gate, they saw a woman waiting there. Her eyes lit up the moment she saw them. Oh my goodness, that woman was Han Seung, 52 years old, a superhuman, and Jaho's wife. With a bright smile, she greeted Seo Moon-yeob warmly. "Yob, it's been so long, I'm so happy to see you again." Seo Moon-yeob also responded cheerfully, "Yes, though to me it's only been a week." Seung-hae chuckled in amazement. "Oh dear, I've aged so much in that 1 week." Seo Moon-yeob quickly comforted her. "Not at all. You look like I've only been gone a week." Hearing that, Seung-hae beamed with joy. "Ho ho ho ho, Yob, you flatter me too much." Then she turned to her husband, affectionately asking, "You must be tired from the drive, honey." But Jaho shrugged it off. "Nothing compared to the shock of my supposedly dead friend coming back." Seo Moon-yeob stood to the side, watching the warm and happy scene unfold before him, and only then did his mind truly relax. For the first time, it all felt real. I'm really alive again. In that moment, Seo Moon-yeob finally believed he was living in a peaceful world, one without dungeons or battles. Yet deep inside, a quiet uncertainty lingered. What should I do now? Unable to come up with a suitable path for himself, he decided to simply take things one day at a time. And so for now, he peacefully sat down and snacked on some chips. Holding the remote, he flipped through the channels lazily, lying stretched out on the sofa, bored and looking for something interesting on TV. "Is there anything good on?" he muttered. Suddenly, something on the screen caught Seo Moon-yeob's attention. It was an old-looking movie. The moment he saw it was playing, he sprang up in excitement, the half-eaten bag of chips in his hand, tossed aside without a second thought. "Whoa, they're airing this movie again." "That's right. I always wondered how it ended." His entire body trembled with excitement. "Yes, this is..." His eyes lit up as if he had just found the meaning of life. "This is the reason I came back to life." Jaho walked past and saw Moon-yeob like that, unable to hide his exasperation. "I've already prepped enough fries. Guess we're binging today, huh?" But it seemed Moon Yob was getting way too carried away. He suddenly made a decision that left Jaho speechless with fear. While I'm at it, I'll watch all the movies I missed since 2005. Jaho stammered in panic, all the movies since 2005? He couldn't hold back anymore and questioned Moon Yob in disbelief. Are you seriously planning to just stay home and watch movies all day? Moon Yob replied coolly, yeah. Then he shot back with a smug look. Hey, didn't you say you'd leave me alone, so what now? Jaho was at a loss for words, stumbling over a response. Yeah, you can live for yourself, but... Jaho couldn't hold it in anymore and went to pull back the curtain. Those reporters have been watching for days. They said they won't leave unless they see you. Seo Moon Yob looked up and was visibly alarmed. What the hell? Jaho stared out at the crowd of journalists packed in front of his house, shocked. There's a lot of them. Seo Moon Yob frowned in frustration. Damn bloodsuckers. Then calmly he stood up. All right, whatever. He coolly told Jaho schedule a press meeting for tomorrow. His voice turned cold. I'll gather them all in one place and tell them to get the hell out of my life from now on. The next day at a grand and towering building in the city. The stage lighting for the interview had been meticulously prepared. The crowd of reporters and journalists below started murmuring as they saw Seo Moon Yob walk in. I thought we'd have to camp outside his house for a month, but this is sooner than expected. Yeah, he looks more composed than I thought. I heard he gets furious and flips everything if something pisses him off. Think this will end peacefully. As Moon Yob took his seat, the host officially announced the start of the press conference. Then let's begin the press conference. Seo Moon Yob immediately began speaking. First of all, as you can see, I'm back. I was surprised by my own situation, so I bet you're all even more shocked. He maintained a calm demeanor. Anyway, the attention everyone is giving me. Jaho, seated to the side, could only watch anxiously and pray. He's being normal so far, thank goodness. But he barely had 3 seconds of relief before Seo Moon Yob bluntly declared, I'm not grateful at all. Ask me everything today, and after that, never pay attention to me again. Jaho could only sit there helplessly speechless, just as he had expected. The host quickly moved on to the next part of the session as hands shot up from all directions with questions. One after another, inquiries came pouring in, and Seo Moon Yob calmly answered them all. How did you return from the final dungeon? I don't know either. When I woke up, I was already in the hospital. I have no answer for that question. Do you have any memories from the past 17 years? To me, 2005 was just a few days ago. Have you contacted any of the other 7 heroes? No, it was just work. I wasn't close to any of them. Do you plan to reclaim your assets? No. After answering a barrage of questions, he paused and scanned the room to see if anyone else wanted to ask something. Then he noticed a bald man raising his hand high. Once chosen, the man wasted no time and asked directly, You must have heard about the battle zone from head coach Bayek, right? Yeah, I've heard of it, Moon Yob replied casually. Then the man asked bluntly, Do you plan to become a player? The bluntness of the question shocked the entire room of reporters. Even Jaho tensed up a bit. But unlike everyone else, Seo Moon Yob remained calm and gave the shortest, most direct answer possible. Nam Jaho couldn't help but cover his face in exasperation. The bald reporter, clearly annoyed by the lack of juicy content, put on a smug expression and asked with a disrespectful tone, Any reason why? Moon Yob responded curtly, I'm not interested. Not knowing when to stop, the bald man pushed further, trying to provoke him. Or is it because you're afraid of losing? But Seo Moon Yob didn't even flinch. Instead, he calmly threw back a line that embarrassed the man in front of everyone. The only thing that's lost here is your hair. Then shifting to a more serious tone, he added, I have absolutely no interest in Battlezone. It doesn't seem fun at all, so don't expect me to play the clown for your entertainment. Sensing the tension, the host quickly stepped in to wrap things up. All right, thank you for your answers. That concludes the press conference. Seo Moon Yob calmly finished his final words. I hope everyone's curiosity has been satisfied. Please stop bothering me. Then he stepped away with a simple, well then goodbye. As he turned to leave, Jaho stepped forward to help wrap things up. Thank you all for gathering here today, now if you would please. Suddenly, a voice shouted from below, Wait, I have one last question. Without hesitation, the reporter asked, Yesterday the player Walker mentioned you. He said the 7 heroes are nothing and that none of them can touch him. What do you think about that? Seo Moon-yob looked a bit surprised at the mention, Jaho Walker. The reporter quickly explained he's a Battlezone star from the US, also known as the pride of the American Tank Division. Hearing that, Seo Moon-yob seemed slightly intrigued. Is that so? Then, is this Walker guy the strongest player out there? The reporter hesitated when asked and replied with slight difficulty. Well, there's a recognized top 3 in Battlezone, Nathan Berner from France, Roy Meyer from Ireland and Daniel Manske from Germany. After listing the names, he returned to the topic of Walker and with a bit of reluctance admitted Walker is a skilled player, but he hasn't quite reached. Before he could finish, he was cut off by a scoff from Seo Moon-yob. Clearly unimpressed, Moon-yob rested his head in one hand with a sigh of disappointment. Seriously, even after 17 years, someone like him? He looked up, gaze sharp as he mocked. If he's not even in the top 3 or whatever, then he has no right to talk. Then standing firm before the crowd and cameras, he made a bold declaration. If anyone wants to fight me, don't come through Battlezone. Find me in real life. Without further patience, he raised his middle finger toward the cameras. I'll bury you on your home turf with my own 2 hands. The image of his defiant stance broadcasted live, reaching all the way across the ocean to America. At the Battlezone US headquarters, player Zachary Wood recounted the incident to Walker. Upon hearing it, Walker was so enraged that he crushed the object in his hand, unable to suppress the fury sparked by Seo Moon-yob's words. He turned sharply and barked an order, "Prep the jet, we're heading to Korea immediately." Meanwhile, Jaho exclaimed in disbelief, "A match with Team USA." Frustrated, he shouted over the phone, "How can you spring this on me without any notice?" Moon-yob, annoyed by the commotion, muttered, "Ugh, so noisy," then added aloud, "Hey, Jaho, you're being really loud. Take your call outside, would you?" Jaho sighed, rubbing his forehead. All right, and ended the call with a heavy sigh, collapsing into a chair. Moon-yob grumbled, "I can't even watch TV because you're yelling." "What's going on, man?" Jaho answered. "We've got an A-level match against the US in 2 weeks. Moon-yob rolled his eyes. Yeah, don't care." Jaho snapped, "This is all your fault. Don't you remember Jaho Walker?" Moon-yob frowned. "Who now?" Jaho crossed his arms and reminded him, "The guy who provoked you, the one you said you'd bury behind your house." Moon-yob replied half-heartedly, "Ah, that guy." Jaho sighed. "He's clearly furious after you publicly humiliated him." Seo Moon-yob commented, "What a child, all this over that." Jaho continued, "You said he wasn't one of the top 3 players. He's clearly sensitive about that. He wants to face you, but since you're not playing Battlefield, I think he's trying to drag the Korean team into it instead." Seo Moon-yob asked, "What do they want with me? That guy's a weirdo." Jaho groaned, "Ugh, why is this happening to me?" But Moon-yob couldn't care less. "Good luck, buddy. I'll be here lying down waiting for you." Jaho turned pale with frustration. "You, but Seo Moon." Yob added, "Wait, if there's going to be a match between national teams." He pointed at Jaho. "Doesn't that mean Hayon will be there too? You said she's part of the national team." A moment later, a loud voice called from outside the door. "Mom, I'm home." Seo Moon-yob grumbled irritably. "She scared the hell out of me. Who is that?" His eyes shifted over and he was quickly caught off guard. Hayon's mother smiled and responded to her, "Oh, you're home earlier than expected." Hayon beamed. "I rushed home when I heard Uncle was staying with us. Also, I wanted to see you and Dad too." She asked eagerly, "Where is he?" Her mother replied, "He's watching TV in the living room." Yob waved at her. "Hey!" Hayon lit up and ran toward him. Throwing her arms around him and exclaiming, "Uncle," he replied, "Hayon, thinking about how much you've grown almost gave me a heart attack." She didn't mind at all and grinned. "You really came back." He laughed and replied while patting her head, All right. I was actually worried you might have forgotten about me by now." Hayon quickly reassured him. "How could I forget I used to play with you all day long? I loved it when you always brought snacks or chocolate. Mom and Dad never let me have that stuff." He chuckled. "But you've definitely grown up now. People say kids grow up so fast." She teased with a grin. "Of course I'm 23 years old now." He asked, So you came back because of the A match, right? Hayon quickly countered. No, I came back to see you. That match is just a side quest. Seo Moon Yob nodded. I see. Hayon then asked curiously, but uncle, I have something I want to ask. Are you really not interested in Battlefield? He frowned. Did Jaho tell you that? Sorry, but I'm just not interested in things like that, she exclaimed. Why? He pointed at the TV while replying, your uncle has a lot of things to do. She clung tightly to his arm. Even if I ask you like this, Moon Yob reflexively declined. No way. She pouted. You've changed. Moon Yob snapped. I think it's pretty clear everyone's changed. She said sadly, you used to always give in to my begging. He crossed his arms and replied, yeah, but the only thing you ever begged for back then was snacks. Hayon continued, but that's okay. I have another request. I have to go to a transformation test at the association. Can you come with me? He asked back, transformation test, what's that? Then sighed, Hayes sounds annoying. Hayon kept pleading. Can't you at least do this one thing for me, please? Dad said he's too busy to go. After hearing her beg for a while, he finally gave in. All right, he sighed. I'll go with you. So, where are we going exactly? She smiled brightly and teased, you'll know if you come with me. At the Korean Battlefield Association welcome player Hayon and Mr. Seo Moon Yob. The receptionist greeted as the guide stepped forward and gestured, please follow me. Seo Moon Yob and Hayon entered, and the guide continued, I'll first assist with player Hayon's transformation test. All right, Hayon nodded. The system voice echoed, weapon and armor scan in progress. 3, 2, 1, scan complete. Synchronizing with transformation. In an instant, the connection was established. Seo Moon Yob watched with interest, while Hayon asked, are you watching, uncle? Then she added, give me a monster, I feel like moving a bit. A creature quickly materialized, a dark wolf. Moon Yob and Hyung-soo observed Hayon through the screen, and Moon Yob spoke. So they can do things like that too. Hyung-soo replied, the Battlefield is a virtual reality sport that uses advanced technology from the Battlefield Association. We can recreate dungeons, monsters, and players within virtual reality. He continued explaining, that's why players who are participating for the first time must come to the association and initialize an avatar. Moon Yob pondered for a moment and responded, it really looks like the real thing. He looked at the screen and murmured, I guess I'll see how good Hayon is. The wolf moved and charged toward Hayon to attack. She showed no fear as she swung the whip in her hand. A sharp sound rang out, and the wolf was immediately restrained. Hayon tightened its neck, causing it to thrash in pain. Then she leapt up and slashed with her sword to deliver the finishing blow, letting out a cold laugh. Hyung-soo announced avatar synchronization rate has been confirmed, you can exit now. Hayon scoffed, and quickly ran to Seo Moon Yob after exiting. How was it, uncle? He gave her a thumbs up and casually praised, not bad for a 6-year-old girl, though you've still got a long way to go, she grumbled. Then why don't you try giving me a little challenge, and for your information, I'm 23 now. He replied, I already told you I'm not going to compete in the tournament. She had no intention of letting it go. No one's asking you to, I'm just telling you to at least try a little. She continued pleading, besides, I'm really curious. I've heard so much from my dad about how strong you are, but I want to see it with my own eyes. When I was finally old enough to watch you fight, you had already disappeared. Seo Moon Yob was moved by Hayon's words. He sighed and agreed, all right, I'll do it. Hayon's face instantly lit up with excitement, prompting Seo Moon Yob to remind her, I'll only do this once, just because you asked. She continued, really thank you, Uncle Hehe. Hyung-soo stepped in. So Moon Yob, are you going to give it a try? He smiled and explained, normally we'd have to run a test to measure all your stats before initializing the avatar, but since you're not actually participating in a real match, I think we can run a quick avatar trial right now. Hayon added, yes, it'll be so much fun. Seo Moon Yob asked, so I just need to go inside, right? Hyung-soo explained, if you go in like this into a standard module, your avatar will enter unarmed. He guided him while two others struggled to carry out his weapons. First, you need to retrieve your weapon. Seo Moon Yob held them in his hands and pondered, they're quite different from what I usually use. They're too light for their size. Hyung-soo explained, What you're holding is standard battlefield equipment. Players usually use custom-made gear, but since this is a testing room, we only have standard equipment. If you don't find them comfortable, you can ask us to make something else. He threw the shield away and gripped the spear in one hand. No, it's fine. Moonyob muttered, one spear is enough and this thing is just annoying, so let's get started. He quickly connected to the system. Battlefield connected to a virtual dungeon. I guess I'll see how to test this thing. The system continuously announced summoning weapon data, full body scan complete. An avatar will be created based on the scanned information. Hyung-soo spoke up, Mr. Seo Moonyob, can you hear me? The place you're standing in is a virtual zone, replicated exactly like the real testing area. Seo Moonyob muttered as he felt his body. The sensation was quite similar to when he passed through a dungeon gate. Hyung-soo continued guiding him through the screen. Look at the control panel. It seems like there's no issue with the synchronization between your avatar and your real body. Hayon added, good luck, uncle. Seo Moonyob stretched his muscles and said, all right, try throwing anything at me like you did with Hayon. Hyung-soo replied, okay, got it. Then pressed a button. A monster gradually formed and floated above Seo Moonyob. He muttered Salaban right. Hayon from outside said to Hyung-soo, this one looks a bit different from the ones I know. He replied, yes, that monster is a special Salaban. Only aura can deal damage to it, but we created it based on the data of the strongest specimen we've ever recorded. It growled and charged at Seo Moonyob, but he didn't even bother to move. His eyes locked onto it. He threw his weapon aside and muttered, carrying a spear just gets in the way, then used his hand. Seo Moonyob touched the monster and flicked his finger, finishing it off in a single blow. Hyung-soo and Hayon were stunned, and she exclaimed, that's insane. You killed the Salaban with just a finger snap. Seo Moonyob replied, no need to shout about it, so this is what happens when it dies. Hyung-soo added, Salaban isn't exactly the toughest monster, but it's definitely not something you can kill with just one finger. He continued, hey, clean up that mess and summon another one. I want to test something. Hyung immediately agreed and another monster was generated. Seo Moonyob thought to himself, while looking around, this place really isn't any different from reality. Looks like I can test that thing here. He continued, hey, clean up that mess and summon another one. I want to test something. Hyung-soo immediately agreed, and another monster was generated. Seo Moonyob thought to himself while looking around, this place really isn't any different from reality. Looks like I can test that thing here. He spoke. Even though it's the strongest one, it didn't really surprise me, so I couldn't properly warm up. But, oh well, a voice rang out. Yeah, your title is the strongest superhuman. Of course, a Salaban wouldn't satisfy you. Seo Moonyob turned toward the direction of the voice English. Outside, Hyung-soo and Hayon watched the control panel in confusion. Why is this happening all of a sudden, she asked curiously. He continued, the problem is the screen is flashing with a bright red warning. Hyung-soo explained, someone is trying to connect here using an external module. Gerald Walker appeared, landed, and looked at Seo Moonyob, then spoke, does your previous invitation still stand? Seo Moonyob looked at him without replying. He continued, you invited me, so I came to find you. Why are you staying silent? You look like you're scared out of your mind. Surprised I actually showed up. I don't care if it's 7 heroes or 8. I'll prove it's all just empty titles now. With that, he immediately charged forward to attack Dai. Seo Moonyob didn't even bother to dodge. He swung his attack down, then was shocked and thought to himself, he's not there. Seo Moonyob responded from behind, startling Gerald Walker. You thought I was scared. He appeared behind him and continued, not a chance. Seo Moonyob smiled. I was just wondering how good this test run could get. He faced off against Walker, who held a shield in one hand and a spear in the other, while Seo Moonyob only held a single spear. Hayon was stunned. How is that possible? Jin-tae answered her, don't worry too much. The door opened, and Jin-tae appeared with several others standing at the entrance. He spoke, I gave permission for this, so there's nothing to be concerned about. Hyung-soo and Hayon were shocked. Chairman Dad, I thought you were busy. He continued, this matter had already been discussed beforehand, but I suppose neither of you were informed. I apologize for causing you concern, and ding. Park Jin-tae smiled. Is this enough now, Manager Emma? Emma responded, Thank you for your cooperation, Chairman, even though our request was a bit demar. He chuckled to himself, recalling old memories with Moon Yob. That guy owes me a lot. If he has any conscience, he won't be able to say a word. I'm the one who should feel grateful for this. He observed Moon Yob while calculating, with this opportunity he might actually get interested in the arena. Seo Moon Yob swung his spear, and Gerald Walker blocked the strike. He counterattacked without backing down. The two then backed away, standing apart. Seo Moon Yob on one side, Gerald Walker on the other. Watching his opponent Seo Moon Yob, thought this guy's better than I expected. Then activated his analysis skill. He was shocked both strength and endurance were at 100 meds. He's a true monster, and his willpower is at 87. He thought to himself, I assumed he was just a hot-headed fool, but it looks like he's got some real skills to make up for that stupidity. The other man provoked him. Why aren't you attacking? What are you staring at? Seo Moon Yob thought, this guy, then smirked. Looks like he can back up his words. If someone like him had existed 17 years ago, maybe we would have brought him into the final dungeon already. He calculated that the man's superpower was perfect for testing. Then recalled, that thing I discovered when I woke up in the hospital. I was planning to use it against the Saliban, but now that I've met this guy, let's try it on him instead. With that thought, Seo Moon Yob charged forward recklessly. Gerald Walker swung his weapon and clenched his teeth, thinking, if that's all you've got. He struck down, I can see your moves so clearly. Then his eyes widened in shock. He stopped right in front of me. Seo Moon Yob smirked and said, let me show you something interesting. He then took a direct critical hit from Gerald Walker. The spectators outside were stunned. Hayon shouted, Uncle, why did you just stand there? Why did you let yourself get hit on purpose? Are you trying to die? Gerald Walker shared her thoughts. Yeah, that girl's right. He was stunned as he recalled Seo Moon Yob stopped attacking and didn't back away at all, like he wanted to die. What is this guy? While he was still thinking, Seo Moon Yob's voice rang out, damn, that hurt more than I expected. In an instant, he charged at Gerald Walker, forcing him to dodge immediately. Walker let out a frustrated grunt, then stared at him in disbelief, muttering, how is this? He didn't even try to block it. He should have died instantly. Seo Moon Yob let out a dry cough and muttered through the smoke. This is insane. They even recreated the smoke. The spectators outside were shocked. Gerald Walker, equally stunned, said, no way, T. His smoke began to clear, and Seo Moon Yob appeared in a dramatic fashion. How's that? He smirked. I told you I'd show you something interesting, didn't I? Immortality, you are immune to death from physical causes. Gerald Walker was in disbelief. How is that even possible? I got this insane superpower after nearly dying. Seo Moon Yob muttered, now I've actually become immortal. The experiment was a success. He kept thinking, but not only did I survive, it even healed my wounds. This isn't right. This isn't a real battle anymore. He spoke to Hyung-soo outside. Hey, operator out there, can you hear me? Hyung-soo immediately responded, yes, is something wrong? Seo Moon Yob continued, I think I can't die from this. It must be because of the superpower I gained after returning from the final dungeon. Hyung-soo was stunned. What, you can't die? How did you get this kind of power? Moon Yob replied, I don't know. I feel like using this here is kind of cheating. Is there a way to seal this power? Hyung-soo answered. Sealing a power like that isn't too hard. Moon Yob agreed. All right then, seal this immortality ability. Understood. Please, wait a moment. He tapped a few things and said, I've sealed it. As you requested, you can no longer use the immortality ability. The other side asked in confusion, immortality? Seo Moon Yob explained. Yeah, it's a new power, so I wanted to test it out, but if I stay immortal here, you'll just run around bragging that you lost because of it. Gerald Walker tightened his grip on his weapon, stepped closer, and tossed the weapon back to him, saying, you really are the arrogant bastard they say you are. Now let's see if your skills live up to the rumors too. Moon Yob caught his weapon easily and smirked. Of course, reality is different from rumors because I'm way stronger than what they say. He responded, I'll see that for myself. Now stand up, you've got no excuses left. Let's fight. Seo Moon Yob continued, Why don't you go defeat the top 3 first? You can't just skip the 4 lords and jump straight to the Demon King. That's not how it works. I mean, I heard you haven't even broken into the top 3 yet." His words successfully enraged the man, who charged forward as Seomoon Yob taunted, "Did I get under your skin?" He moved effortlessly to dodge the attack. Gerald Walker backed off in shock, thinking he disappeared. Seomoon Yob appeared behind him over here. Gerald Walker's eyes shifted instantly as he tried to read Moon Yob's movement, thinking he's going to strike from behind. But the tip of Moon Yob's spear appeared right in front of him. Gerald Walker quickly leapt backward. Seomoon Yob smirked, thinking he managed to react that fast, even though his shield blocked his line of sight. Not bad, but it's time to end this. With that thought, he took his stance, locked onto his target, and launched his attack. Gerald Walker and his shield were both knocked back, slamming hard into the wall. Seomoon Yob smirked. Gerald stood up with a grunt of frustration. Recalling Moon Yob's movement, he purposely aimed at my side, used my shield to block the spear, then altered its trajectory right before impact. That level of control. So this is the real Seomoon Yob. Moon Yob spoke, "I win." Gerald Walker denied it. "Not yet, the spear only grazed me. I'm not dead," Moon Yob replied. "That's because I held back. I went easy on you, and you still dare to talk back." He added, "You'll never beat me as long as you keep using that oversized shield," Gerald asked, "Huh?" Moon Yob continued, "You don't need something that big. Switch to a smaller one." Confused, Gerald asked, "Why are you suddenly—" Seomoon Yob answered, "I'm being kind and giving you advice because you're not just good at trash talk. Your vision is blocked by that shield." He went on, "I bet you were teased as a kid for having bad eyesight." His words made Gerald freeze. Seomoon Yob continued, "I bet that's why you chose such a large shield, so you could protect yourself while still keeping an eye on the battlefield, but that's not a perfect solution. It backfires when you're up against someone strong like me, who knows how to exploit your blind spots. So switch to a smaller shield and consider using your intelligence and control skills too. It'll benefit you in the long run." Gerald Walker looked at him doubtfully and asked, "You're not lying, are you?" Seomoon Yob replied, "Why would I lie to you even if I tell you everything? You're still not my match, you idiot." Though annoyed, Gerald agreed. "Fine, I'll give it a try, no harm in that." The spectators outside were confused, huh? Jaho thought to himself, "Why are you giving him advice, Yob? He's already a tough opponent." Seomoon Yob went on, "The rest is up to you. That's as far as I'll go. I'm out. I still have to go home and watch a movie." He added, "Oh, and since I've been kind enough to teach, you don't forget to pay your tuition when you get home." Gerald agreed, "All right." Then added as he stood up, "But I have one condition, Oh, Moon Yob repeated, "Condition? What condition?" Gerald Walker pointed at him and proposed, "I want to fight you again, so let's have a match in Group A 2 weeks from now." But Seomoon Yob frowned in confusion. "You're ridiculous. I already told you I have no interest in the arena. Why would I do something I don't enjoy when I've got tons of movies I haven't watched yet? Screw you, I don't need your stinking money." Walker grabbed him and insisted I said I'll pay you if you agree to fight, which annoyed Seo. "Are you crazy? I told you I'm not interested. Now get lost." Gerald pleaded, "I'll be different next time," and Seomoon Yob thought to himself, "This guy is seriously insane." Gerald then raised his voice. "You have to compete in the arena. You can't waste that power of yours," Seo snapped. "How I use my power is my business." And the two kept arguing back and forth. Park Jin-tae saw an opportunity in it and smirked, thinking, "Looks like I can take advantage of this." The next day, while Seomoon Yob was watching his show Sasun Mr. Juni, mumbling, "So they're finally getting together, huh?" A strange voice suddenly cut off the stream with an emergency announcement, making him sit up in frustration. What, it was just getting good. The TV reported, although Seomoon Yob recently made a firm statement refusing to join the arena. We've just received word that his recent duel with Gerald Walker might change that. Though the audio from the match was unclear, an anonymous source claims that if Team USA wins every match in the upcoming Group A round against Team Korea, Seomoon Yob will join a friendly match between the US and Korea, or a match requested by Team USA. As Seomoon Yob listened, The expression on Seo Moon's face became even more unpleasant as he listened to the news, and the source even said that Seo Moon Yob himself had accepted those conditions. He stood there with his mouth wide open. What the hell, when did I ever say that, huh? At the Korean Arena Association. Seo Moon shouted loudly, so I asked him why it turned out like that. He slammed the table and shouted in Jin Tae's face. Who the hell is that anonymous bastard? I'll kill him with my own hands. Bring him out here right now. He went on, and what the hell is this video? He said while holding up the video, just a glance, and you can tell it was deliberately edited to cut out the part where I said I wouldn't play. He continued, I'll kill the one who dared spread this video too. Jin Tae spoke up. First he bowed his head and apologized for the harm caused to the hero who saved the world after a series of scandals, saying that as the president of the association, he sincerely apologized. Seon looked confused, thinking what the heck, why is he suddenly doing this? He went on, even the American Arena Association was bribed by Walker. I'm just the president of the Korean Arena Association. We're in a weak position. How could I possibly refuse their demands, especially with pressure from public opinion and higher-ups? I apologize to you as an older brother, not as the president of the association. Seo Moon looked confused. I know you have your own troubles, but why do I have to do this? He placed a hand on Seo Moon's shoulder and said, but don't worry, to keep you from getting involved, I've come up with a very good plan. In the Group A match between Korea and the US, as long as the US team can win 11-0 without losing a single life, it will just count as a friendly match so that you, Seo Moon, can go out on the field. The score for each set in the arena will be based on the number of surviving players from both teams at the end of the match. He continued, these are the conditions they gave. I told them that if the opponent isn't strong enough, it won't excite you. It seemed everyone understood the situation, so don't worry. Although the Korean Arena team's ability is indeed low, it's not so bad that in all 3 matches we couldn't even take down a single opponent. Seo Moon cut in, then just have the whole team quit already. I told you I have no interest in the arena, so why does everyone keep bothering me? Jin Tae kept pleading. Anyway, the condition he gave is impossible to achieve, and everyone agreed to this deal because they understand how you are. We've known each other for years now, little brother. Just help me out this one time. He went on to suggest instead all the money we earn will be donated to the orphanage you care about. Can't you just give in this one time, please, Seo Moon? He was getting frustrated, thinking to himself, even if I don't care about all the years of friendship, then sighed. Seo Moon agreed with him. Fine, I got it, but just this once. The old man was overjoyed. Of course there won't be a next time. I truly thank you. Seo Moon, he went on, if possible, let me give you a kiss. Seo Moon flatly refused. That's enough, he continued. Anyway, if I manage to catch even one American player, I won't play. No matter how much you beg or cry, I won't back down. He laughed. Of course, no matter what happens, I'll keep my word, he went on. Now that we've finished talking about all this troublesome stuff, let's go have dinner, Seo Moon asked. You're treating Jin Tae burst out laughing. All right, all right. What's so hard about that? I know a great tuna sashimi restaurant, let's go there. He glanced down at the documents on the table and thought to himself, if he really believes I'll definitely keep my word, then I guess I'll apologize in advance. Sorry, Seo Moon. The TV kept reporting on the match, with live updates from the Korean Arena Association confirming that Seo Moon Yob had accepted the offer from the US side. Seo Moon Yob, the man who once said he didn't want to play in the arena. Breaking news. Seo Moon Yob is entering the Group A arena match. He shouted angrily, damn it. They won't air any movies, just non-stop news about me. He cursed himself. All this chaos because of one impulsive moment. I should have cut off this cursed fate long ago. The TV continued with another update. The broadcast schedule was changed to air live coverage about Seo Moon instead of the originally planned program. Seo Moon cursed, damn it. He looked outside and muttered to himself, oh, what a fate I have. He glanced around, then looked outside and thought to himself, what's that sound? Turns out it's Hayon training. Seo Moon sighed, oh my god. Jaho threw a ball. She immediately chased after it. She used her whip to catch it. Seo Moon thought to himself, looks like Hayon is training. Jaho spoke up. Hayon, Your reaction speed this time is relatively fast, but you need to be even quicker. She replied, yes. He continued, you play the role of assist DPS to support the other members, so focus on improving your movement speed. Hayon responded, got it. Oh, and if you can increase your sensitivity too. Seomoon watched and thought to himself, there he goes again. Father Jaho is starting to lecture. He activated his skill, turning on analysis vision. Seomoon noted that Hayon's speed and sensitivity were already high enough. However, her sensitivity had already reached its maximum point, and on top of that, the growth limit chart for speed and sensitivity showed levels that even Jaho himself had never reached in the past. Hayon performing exactly as Jaho expected was impossible. However, her growth limits in strength and endurance had surpassed Jaho's, so how could he expect Hayon to play as an assist DPS? He thought to himself, beat Jaho. This method might have worked for you, but it's wrong for Hayon. She sat down on the ground exhausted and rested for a moment, saying, I'm so tired. He looked at her thinking, if even Hayon, the ace of the Korean team, is only at this level. Then he thought to himself, we might not even be able to take a single life from the American team. Jaho spoke up. No, you're still a bit short. Just a little more training and you'll get there. Seomoon replied to Baek Jaho. Hayon is not you, Seomoon said. Baek Jaho replied, what did you say? He demanded, stop training her to increase speed and sensitivity. It only highlights her weaknesses because you're no longer in your prime. She's already reached the limit of her sensitivity. Even her whip technique is the same, and so is her superpower, all relying on the same kind of speed. You want to train her to be an assist DPS, just like yourself, but the two of you are not the same. Hayon, what about you? He asked her. After using the whip to restrain the opponent, he asked, what will you do next? She immediately replied, I'll pull to throw the opponent off balance, then bind them again and toss them to my teammates. He pointed at her, wrong, you're wrong. You have to finish them off yourself. Playing like an assist DPS in your father's style won't work. Your teammates have lower speed and sensitivity than you. They won't be able to finish off the opponent like your father did, so right now, strength and swordsmanship are what matter most to you. You have to end it yourself with your sword. He picked up the sword and spoke. I'll show you once, watch carefully. It's not that hard. He took his stance, one hand holding the whip, the other holding the sword. Seomoon said, like this. He swung the whip and bound the target, then immediately continued the moment he caught them. He slashed down, swinging his strike. Hayon was stunned. Seomoon asked again, did you see that clearly? Neither of them responded. Seomoon continued, because you can't make the opponent stop breathing. With just the whip, you also have to control the sword, as skillfully as you do the whip. That's why I said training strength and swordsmanship is essential. Hayon, from now on, you're no longer an assist DPS. Switch to the melee DPS role. Got it. Supervisor. The other two replied in unison, huh? He didn't wait for their response and immediately gave the order. All right then, let's start light with a strength training set. Just 500 reps, easy enough, right? They asked in shock. 500. Seomoon repeated with pressure in his voice. What are you standing around for? Not training? Hurry up and start the 500 set strength workout. There are 14 days left until the Group A match. From now on, I'll be the one training Hayon. At the training ground and dormitory of the US team in Korea, voices echoed. So what the hell is going on, Walker? The one speaking was John Kim, the team's representative and manager. He was astonished by Walker's performance, as his abilities had improved drastically in just a few days. He asked in surprise, my combat ability has improved that much. Of course, I'm even wondering why, after suddenly meeting Seomoon Yob, you suddenly insisted on changing your shield right after that. Ahem. It feels like just after a few days, you've made a breakthrough that completely erased the weakness you've had all this time. If you can maintain this form, you'll definitely make it into the top 3. He continued, of course it takes a lot of training to achieve such a big change. However, until you've fully mastered it, we might struggle a bit against speed-based players like Nathan, but in the long run, this will be a huge gain. He asked if we were to convert the value of this progress into money, how much would it be worth? The other man responded quickly without even thinking. In my opinion, it's worth more than $10 million, and if you master this skill at the next contract renewal, you'll receive at least that much in salary. He muttered $10 million, huh? Then he continued, in that case send CO Moon $10 million right now. The manager was stunned. What did you say, as in a consultation fee? He replied, we absolutely have to drag him into the arena. Just wait a little longer. CO Moon Yub. At the Seoul International Arena Stadium, the Group A match between Korea and the United States. The commentator spoke. The day has finally arrived. A truly historic match is about to begin. Dear audience, all eyes are on the outcome of today's match, the hero CO Moon Yob, and the crucial battle against the US team. The success or failure of that dream match will all depend on the result of today's game. Let me introduce the players from both teams who will be participating in today's fateful match. The members of both teams are now making their entrance one by one. The ace players of both teams are here today. Let's wait and see how they will perform. I'm especially looking forward to player Beak Hayon, as this is her first match since changing her position. CO Moon thought to himself, Hayon, do your best. The dungeon for this match is an ancient castle in the underworld, guarded by skeletons, the Palace of Martha. A dungeon structured with 3 floors, each guarded by a boss. The first floor will feature the Skotan warrior. The second floor is guarded by Deadline. And on the final floor, the Bull Dragon will be waiting there. And now to all the spectators attending today's match, let's go over the main rules of the game. In this match, the main rule of the arena is that the victory condition is to eliminate all players from the opposing team. Players earn kill points by defeating monsters or enemy players. The more kill points a player has, the greater the glow they emit, and the color of the glow also changes based on the total number of points earned. The players are now entering the arena. What kind of result will we see in today's match? Well then, round 1 begins. The match is underway. The members of the US team are moving together. Team USA has made their move and is now facing off against Skotan on the first floor. The Skotan horde appeared and they charged forward to confront them. A hunt has begun, calm and calculated, with everyone advancing at the same time. The US team, with relatively slow movement speed, has plenty of experience from previous hunts. They take pride in their defense, known as the Iron Wall. So today, what strategy will they use to face off against our players? Meanwhile, Hayon focused, thinking to herself, just follow what I've practiced. As I'm narrating the situation of the US team, the Korean team is also advancing at a very fast pace. The commentators said, what's going on? The Korean team is ignoring Skotan and running straight through. In the second sector, they're also rushing past Skotan. They moved forward. Hayon thought to herself, good, we're doing well. Keep running like this. As long as we stick to this strategy, we'll have a chance to win. Previously, the Korean team always fought long battles, but today they chose to fight the bosses, first seeming to follow a rather risky offensive strategy. However, if this strategy succeeds, they could earn a lot of kill points, and if they manage to defeat the boss within a few minutes, the first floor will be sealed off. If that happens, it will be difficult for Team USA to execute their strategy. And finally, the ones facing the boss Skotan warrior on the first floor are the Korean players. They are advancing to fight the boss. Someone spoke up. Walker, wait, an unexpected situation has arisen. It was power scouting ahead. So what do you mean by an unexpected situation? What are you talking about? Power reported to him that the Korean team is currently fighting the boss on the first floor, and it seems they are using a different strategy than usual. Other members of Team USA scoffed. So this is a one-move decision to rush up to the second floor before the first floor collapses. He replied, let's quickly finish the hunt. First head into the boss area, but my legs can't move any faster, so I'll have to borrow your supernatural power. The boss on the first floor growled threateningly. Someone shouted, they've caught it. The Korean team charged at it. Hayon would finish it off while the others stayed in position to support. The commander gave the order, but she was suddenly attacked. She thought in disbelief, where did that come from all of a sudden? The Korean team members were stunned and frozen. Walker, the player, used jet propulsion with his supernatural power, flying toward them. Jaho muttered in annoyance. This madness, could they really be attacking this fast? Hayon was knocked back as an alert sounded. Baek Hayon has taken damage. She was horrified. Beak Hayon is dead. He said abandon everything to fight the first boss. That is a bold strategy. However, even if that strategy succeeds, it won't determine the outcome of the match. The other members of Team USA quickly approached the boss. The remaining members of the Korean team could only watch helplessly. An alert quickly sounded. The final boss of the first floor has been defeated. The first floor will be sealed in 10 minutes. The final boss of the first floor has been defeated. The first floor will be sealed in 10 minutes. The final boss of the first floor has been defeated. The first floor will be sealed in 10 minutes. The endgame had arrived, and the members of Team USA rushed in to attack the Korean team. The commentator spoke. The sudden appearance of Team USA instantly wiped out the Korean team and stole the boss. Team Korea is under heavy attack from the enemy, and the entire team is on the verge of being wiped out. They are completely overwhelming Team Korea. Walker spoke. Then I'll use this move to finish off round 1. He said that, then finished off the last remaining member of Team Korea. Round 1 is over. Team USA has finished the match with a flawless victory with a score of 0-0 versus 1. After the players finish gearing up, round 2 will officially begin. Hayon walked and thought to herself, again we lost again. Even this time Uncle helped us, and yet I still couldn't fight properly. Yuxi, Seo Moon's voice rang out. Right now all players have entered the field. Everyone focus and listen to me, he said. Hayon was shocked. He remarked, watching you all play makes me want to go blind seriously. To put it nicely, just do your best to follow my instructions in the next round. Some people questioned, but our coach is Jaho. He replied curtly. Silence. Hayon was surprised. Uncle Shi looked at him in shock. Seo Moon continued, just think of it as me being in this with you, got it? I'm trying to raise our win rate as quickly as possible, and because of that, there will be some gaps. Your combat abilities are far too weak. The moment things deviate even slightly from the plan, you all panic, and that only leads to failure. With your current skills, even if we fight 10,000 times, 1,000,000 times, 1,000,000,000 times, we'd still lose. The chance of winning is absolutely 0. However, if we just sit back and do nothing, we'll lose in the most humiliating way. That's why listen carefully. No matter how hard it is, I will make sure all of you catch Walker. The Palace of Martha is one of the dungeons I attacked myself as a kid, together with the chairman of the association. While clearing, it isn't too difficult. Fighting the Bone Wraith on the 3rd floor does take quite a bit of time. But with your current strength, it's unlikely you can even make it that far, so let's set that aside for now and think back to the previous match. The battle plan you used in round 1 was actually pretty decent. Of course, that's only if everyone follows the assigned strategy properly. Of course, that only works if everyone follows the strategy properly. First, the vanguard. No matter how rushed you are to fight the boss, you must assess the enemy's position, since taking down the boss quickly is crucial. Everyone rushed into the boss room, but even so, scouting the surroundings and the rear is still necessary. If the front line is defeated, the rest must step up and hold the line. When Hayon was blocked by Walker, the rest of you just stood there frozen and ended up getting beaten to a pulp. What else did you expect? If you can't even manage something that simple, then the team will lose with 0 points. He scratched his head and muttered, these guys are supposed to be national players. Jaho, you poor guy, too pitiful really. He sighed. Anyway, that match is already over, so there's no point in dwelling on it. Let's end the complaints about round 1 here. They thought to themselves, the coach already said everything. Seo Moon continued. Now comes the real content, so listen carefully, because I'm going to show you how to crush them in round 2. Now then, round 2 is officially about to begin. Right from the start, Team USA has split into 2 groups. It seems they intend to use a 5 versus 6 formation in this second round. If the leading team moves quickly, they can secure their hunting area, while Walker and the rear team will focus on hunting monsters. This strategy fully maximizes the power of Walker, the ace of their team. Now let's take a look at Team Korea. Wait, no way! Just as player Beak Hayon suddenly vanished, she reappeared. And they kept running. Team Korea is now sprinting at full speed. Team Korea is still using a defensive strategy, but what's going on here? Player Hayon has changed her position. This match is definitely going to be different. Seo Moon smirked. Good, they're doing very well. If they follow my instructions, there's definitely a chance. Hayon thought to herself, this time for sure. This time the scouting team couldn't find Team Korea anywhere. Walker continued, "There's only one path through the dungeon anyway. I guess the second half of the match will be just like before." He replied, "Yeah, I know." Gerald thought to himself, maybe they've changed their strategy compared to round one. If this continues, getting Seo Moon Yob to join the battle is only a matter of time. I will try to confront Seo Moon Yob with a new approach. But then a sound echoed, making him turn his head. Something suddenly appeared on the other side. Gerald was astonished as the members of the Korean team attacked from above. The American team cried out in shock. How could the Korean team be here? Seo Moon spoke up. "I will only say this once, so listen carefully. First, I'll scout the fastest person. Hayon will go ahead to scout and confirm the situation on that side. And if the number of people in the group, including Walker, is fewer than 5, then we will not hunt monsters or fight any bosses." His words surprised them. The palace was structured in a one-way layout. This was an obvious fact we had known since we started attacking this dungeon. But in reality, this dungeon has 3 paths, one of which is a secret route set up by cheaters, and it is very suitable for scouting or launching ambushes. This is also the route that Hayon will use when scouting. The entrance to the secret path looks like an ordinary wall, so it is hard to tell the difference. But I will show everyone how to recognize it, so don't worry. If we use that path, we won't be detected and can reach the American team's camp. There will be 11 people running along that path. We will split into 2 teams and launch a full assault on the American team while they are out hunting. Back to the present, the Korean team is attacking the American team. This time they are launching a surprise attack on the American team. They landed while Gerald was caught off guard. And when fighting Walker, aim for his legs. Hayon asked again, but isn't Walker the player known for never being knocked down just like earlier? Are his legs really a weak point? Seo Moon replied, yes, his legs have all the conditions to be a weak point. Because he had to switch to a smaller shield, the area he needs to protect has increased, and protecting his teammates has also become more difficult. From what I see, he still hasn't fully adapted to this change. Well, if it's him, he could fully adapt eventually, but with his current condition, saying his legs are a weakness isn't entirely accurate, Seo Moon continued. However, they are under pressure not to let anyone die and to secure victory. In that situation, if they're ambushed by enemies with double their numbers, while also having to face someone extremely fast and highly mobile, you won't miss a single opportunity. With these conditions, the situation will definitely change a lot, so trust me and just give it a try, Seo Moon said. Hayon thought to herself, thanks uncle. As soon as he finished speaking, she and the Korean team charged forward. The Korean team quickly launched an attack before the American team could finish organizing their formation. It seems that player Beak Hayon has received the Superpower Firepower Focus from the supporter, and she will face off against player Walker. Firepower Focus consumes the user's own mana to enhance the abilities of their allies. They launched a full assault on Walker, Gerald, and the rest of the American team. He frowned in frustration, thinking to himself, she used teleportation to get past me, so that was her target from the beginning. Beak Hayon was actually aiming to attack the support team in the back. He turned his head when he saw the enemy attacking. Damn it, he muttered, then struck back. Gerald Bacon, this guy is commanding the American team, the leading squad. In an emergency situation, return immediately so the lead team can come back, he ordered. But returning here will take some time. The current situation is 3 versus 8. The Korean team charged forward but was still pushed back. Gerald thought to himself, this team alone is no problem for me. He attacked the Korean team. Hayon approached him from behind. He turned his head in shock, but there was no one there. There was clearly no one behind him. Just as he finished that thought, Hayon attacked him and he cried out in pain. She immediately moved and used her whip to entangle his legs. Then she pulled hard. The American team was ambushed, and although they tried to hold their ground, the Korean team was accelerating their advance with a numerical advantage. 3 members had sacrificed themselves to capture 7 members of the American team. Hayon slowly approached Gerald Walker. He spoke, you changed your style in such a short time, that must be thanks to Seo Moon Yob's guidance, right? She pointed her weapon at him. He laughed and remarked, Quite magnificent, such a tremendous change. The Korean team captured 7 members of the American team, completely turning the tide of the battle. Jaho stood with his mouth wide open in shock. Seo Moon muttered, "See, I told you we'd catch them, Walker." The second round ended. The Korean team had showcased many fascinating things in this match. Yes, it was a great battle that no one sitting here could have predicted. However, it was truly unfortunate for them as the match ended with victory leaning toward the American team. If the Korean team had escaped earlier and avoided facing the American team, the match might have been even more exciting. It was truly unfortunate. However, the Korean team, Gerald glanced at the scoreboard. Facing a strong team like the American team, they still managed to take 5 lives. They achieved a glorious victory through securing those 5 kills. The moment they blew up the wall was truly unexpected. Yes, that was the highlight of the day. And the one at the center of that epic moment was this player. Among those 5 kills, she secured 4 herself and assisted in 1. The ace of the Korean team player, Baek Hayon. Hello, Coach Baek Jaho. I'm a reporter from XBC Sport. In this match, the national team players showcased a very different playstyle than usual. What are your thoughts on the match, Coach Baek? We lost, but I believe it was a valuable experience both for me and for the whole team. Receiving such an overwhelming result against a strong team can help them grow stronger. Yes, thank you. Now for the next question, the ambush using the secret strategy in the second round was truly memorable. How did you come up with that tactic? Jaho smiled. That was truly a surprising strategy, considering this stage is designed to have only one path. As for the strategy in the second round, I had some help, he said, glancing over at Seo Moon. He looked back at him and muttered, "Old man." He still wanted to put me into that game. It was Hayon's turn for the interview. "Hello, I'm Baek Hayon." The reporter asked curiously, "Player Baek Hayon, you gave an impressive performance in this event. How did you train for it?" She answered honestly, "I trained hard under the guidance of my uncle. The position switch was also his suggestion." Seo Moon muttered, "Oh damn it. Those two, seriously, why do you both keep bringing me up like that? Why not, it's true anyway." Jinti smiled at his usual habit of getting annoyed whenever he felt embarrassed. He turned his head and replied, "What the hell are you doing here?" "Aren't you the chairman of the association, old man?" Seo Moon said, pointing up to the stage. "Then go over there and do the interviews or whatever." Jinti replied, "What should an old man do there? Standing behind is best." He replied, all right, then why do you have to show up next to me?" "What are you trying to say I did this time?" Jinti answered, "Kid, you have no sense of order at all. I'm here because it reminds me of the old days, the hidden paths known only by experienced people like you and me. You're the one who came up with the strategy in the second round." Seo Moon replied, "That's right." He continued honestly, "Using the secret path is quite a sneaky move. From now on, this isn't war, but sports. Other teams have heavy tanks. I thought about guerrilla tactics based on our team's speed, but I didn't want to just run with them, so I gave them a faster, more efficient strategy." Jinti agreed. All right then, I'm listening. You're training Hayon as well. I can see she's discovering her talent. Do you think that can really happen in just a day or two?" He continued while watching Mun stand up. "I'm truly happy to see you come up with a plan for the first time in a while. That really is a talent too good to waste." He shrugged. "Well, I'm just extraordinary like that. Now let me ask you, Yobi," he suggested. "With that talent, do you want to use it more?" "More? Be cautious of his offer. What else do you want? Isn't it true that I won the bet fairly?" Jinti replied, "I promise if you refuse this time, I will never make you go to the battlefield again. This is my final offer, so just hear me out." "To be honest, the Korean professional battlefield is starting again." Seo Moon asked, "So you're telling me to become a professional player?" Jinti quickly waved his hand. No, there's no reason for that suggestion. Before the professional season starts, again I'm thinking of organizing a charity tournament with professional players. Yob, I'm asking if you could at least participate in that match. He supposed that Seo Moon have been rejected this time as well. But Seo Moon responded, "I'll think about it." Jinti was surprised, huh? He repeated, "Yob, what did you just say?" Seo Moon shouted back. "It seems old age is making you hard of hearing. I said I'll think about it." He doubted it and thought to himself, this guy will say no if he doesn't want to. Seo Moon explained, "There's nothing special, but watching Hayon's performance in the match made me feel a bit excited. Of course, acting is fun, but it's different from fighting for fun, so I thought we should fight quickly, just to kill some time once. The more Jin-Tae listened to Seo Moon, the harder it was to believe. Since all disappeared, this is also the only place left to fight. He clapped Seo Moon on the shoulder and rubbed his head. Yes, your thinking makes sense. Well done. Also, a clip from the first match of the A rank was uploaded and quickly surpassed 10 million views in less than an hour. With the comments exploding, Korea has 5 kills ahead of the US team. Crazy player Beak, Hayon is a legend and Seo Moon Yob is divine. Seo Moon Yob, 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 Seo Moon Yob. I couldn't even eat the chicken I just ordered while watching this match. It's the first time I've seen Korea get 5 kills. Seo Moon Yob shouted, "Got it, damn it, calm down." He muttered, "My old neck is about to break. An old man shouldn't have this much strength." Jin-Tae laughed. "I was really excited when I heard you say you'd participate." Seo Moon corrected him. "I didn't say I would. I only said I'd think about it. Don't exaggerate like that." Jin-Tae laughed like he'd won the lottery. All right, just keep thinking about it," Seo Moon continued. "But old man, isn't the professional season starting soon?" Jin-Tae replied, Yes, that's right." He questioned holding a charity tournament right before the professional season starts, when players need to test and reinforce their lineups. Sounds a bit exhausting. The old man thought to himself, "This slippery bastard." Seo Moon continued, "Anyway, let's put that charity match aside for now. If I join, I'll need conditions." He asked again, "Conditions? I don't know what kind of conditions you're thinking of, but if you've agreed to join the charity match, then as the chairman of the association, I'll accept them all." Seo Moon asked, "Really?" He scoffed. "All right then, in that case." At Jaho's house, "What is this?" Beak Jaho, dressed in training gear, exclaimed. "What kind of situation is this?" Seo Moon replied, "What do you mean? What situation?" "Exactly what you're seeing. Anyway, old man Jin-Tae agreed to all my conditions. I'll be the special guest for the charity match." He continued, "In this second life of mine, I was planning to spend my days just watching TV." But Seo Moon said nothing more. Jaho asked again, "Yup." Seo Moon replied, "Anyway, since I'm joining, I'll try and train a little. But looking at the condition of those kids who got kicked off the national team, I really don't think I need to prepare much. I don't know who trained them, but they're all truly useless." Jaho snapped back, "Sorry for making them useless, okay?" He continued, "Fine, the fact that you want to participate is still a good thing, but why are you dragging me into this?" Seo Moon casually explained, "Well, it'd be a bit unfair if I were the only one getting wrecked. There's no target more worth fighting than Hayon, so unfortunately I need to use you too." Jaho pointed at him and shouted, "I heard exactly what you just said." He continued, "Go easy on me, it's been 17 years since I put down my weapon." Seo Moon asked, "Are you afraid of losing face, coach?" He added, "It's fine, trust me, I'll train you until you're completely back to how you were before the match." Jaho sighed, "Damn it, I'm going to die." He sighed, "I'm still just a 47-year-old middle-aged man who's been retired for 17 years. Seo Moon scoffed, "I've never been wrong, my friend." Then he used his skill appraisal eye. Seo Moon thought to himself, it's true that he's a bit weak after 17 years without training, but if he can catch up with the rhythm again, it won't be hard for him to regain his former stats. He scoffed and declared, "Starting tomorrow, we'll train like we're crawling out of hell, got it?" Beak Jaho. Jaho broke into a cold sweat, thinking, I'm screwed. The conditions Seo Moon gave to Jin-Tae were: first, let me be on the same team as Hayon, even if it's just VR, I don't want to fight my niece. Second, let Jaho accompany me. If 2 of the 7 heroes team up, the sponsors will go crazy for sure. He picked up the phone. "It's me. I have a proposal." The media kept reporting about them. Counting down to the day of the match, day 7. "You little punk. What did I teach you back then?" Jaho tried to defend himself against Seo Moon's scolding. "My technique has worn down over time, okay? So now I have to move 1 second faster than my opponent. Seriously." He scolded, "You little brat, so you do remember that much?" Jaho laughed. All right, I'll try to go faster." Then he pushed himself with full strength, then rushed towards Seo Moon. Attacked him, then backed away. Why did I do so well this time, huh? That was a good move too. But do you remember we once slashed 3 times in a row in the exact same situation? Jaho lightly touched his neck. 17 years have passed already. I guess I'll have to rely on you for this. He bent down. I'm exhausted. Training at this age really is tiring. Seo Moon walked closer. Compared to before, this is just the warm-up, and you're already playing the exhausted card. Stop talking and get up now. Jaho shouted, "What, we're going to train for 8 hours straight?" Seo Moon corrected him. "No, that's not it. After teaching you, I still have to watch a movie, so pick up the moves a little faster." Jaho shouted, "You're still the same as before, but I'm already 48 years old. Can we please rest like normal human beings?" He continued, "There's somewhere you need to go today, so you won't be watching any movie." Seo Moon asked, "Again, go where?" Hyun-soo spoke as he met Se Moon. "It's really nice to see you again today." Seo Moon Yub. "Did you come today to check on the avatar?" He continued the introduction. "This is Brown Tenor from the World Association. He will be supervising today's evaluation." Seo Moon spoke up first. "There's something I'd like to ask." "Wasn't everything already checked last time?" he said, pointing at Hyun-soo. "I captured and defeated the previous opponents, so what else needs to be done?" Hyun-soo explained, "Last time I skipped the part about measuring physical ability and creating the avatar. An accurate set of data is crucial to make sure nothing goes wrong when activating the avatar. So far, I haven't had any issues with synchronization." Seo Moon asked again, "It has to be that precise?" Hyun-soo smiled. "That's right, all the physical attributes of the contestant will be scanned and reflected in the avatar. It can even uncover superhuman abilities that the person themselves isn't aware of." Seo Moon replied, "That's truly amazing. I didn't think humans could create such technology." He laughed. "Actually, there are many secrets about the battlefield system. Even the World Association, which manages it, says that this information is strictly confidential." He asked again, "Strictly confidential? Is it like IT technology?" "Yes, I heard it's a system built using someone's superpower." Seo Moon muttered, "How strange, are they imitating the underground civilization?" Hyun-soo laughed. "Underground civilization?" He continued, "Right now that's exactly what they're doing. Basically, it turns out there's an underground world behind the World Association." "No way," Seo Moon said with interest. "Well, if that's true, I'd gladly welcome it. I wish it would appear right now." Hyun-soo said, "Then let's begin the measurements." In his mind, he stayed alert around Seo Moon. That guy had a rather strange personality. He needed to be careful. Seo Moon was quickly taken into a room. "All right then, let's begin. This is where your strength, agility, and soul count will be measured. Since we need accurate data to confirm the avatar synchronization, please give it your all." The system continued. "The first test will be measuring strength." Seo Moon muttered, "What is this?" Instructions were given. Pull the handle to start the measurement. He pulled it with all his strength. Then he let go, and the numbers began to jump. The number displayed on the screen was 813. The instructions sounded, "Great job, please do it again." Seo Moon pulled a second time, 819. He pulled a third time, 817. He thought to himself, if his strength is 79, then the score should appear like this. He spoke, "What's next?" Hyun-soo was astonished. His strength is classified in the category known as superhero level. Next will be the agility test. Do you see the switches beside you? From the moment the signal starts until it ends, just press the 2 switches alternately. He scoffed. "All right then." Seo Moon focused, then quickly dashed forward. The people outside were astonished. In this world, only oil transport ships had ever moved that fast. The system announced, "Measurement complete, measurement complete." Moon asked, "How many points?" 963 points. It was truly surprising. He muttered, "If I try a little harder, I might even surpass 970 points." "Then let's go straight to round 2. Got it. Measurement complete, measurement complete." Outside, people were stunned, thinking to themselves, "That's impossible. He really surpassed 970 points." Seo Moon asked, "What's the highest record?" Hyun-soo replied, "There's someone in the team who scored 1007 points in the physical test." Seo Moon immediately asked, "Is it Nathan Burner?" Hyun-soo was curious. "You know him because I said I'd join the charity match. Jaho showed me some videos. I saw him in one of them." He was almost as fast as Jaho in his prime, so I stayed a bit cautious. There's no way you'd easily come across someone as fast as Jaho, the one who once scored 1,000 agility points at his peak. All right, let's measure it again. A voice echoed from outside, and Seo Moon, excited, said, I'm glad I get to raise my score. All right, this time I'll hit 975 points. Seo Moon closed his eyes. He took a deep breath and thought to himself, focus, focus. Somehow it's rising. Am I in a stable state right now? He opened his eyes wide, then began to move. Seo Moon gave it his all. The more the people on this side watched, the more unbelievable it became. He was even faster than before. Measurement complete. Measurement complete. The score, what's the score? Seo Moon spoke. I think I moved faster than last time. So how many points did I get? 1,007 points. It's 1,007 points. You're now tied with Nathan, the fastest superhuman in the world. He was stunned. Tied? What do you mean, tied? Seo Moon calculated that his actual agility was 97, slightly lower than that of the guy named Nathan and Jaho in their prime, but the record was the same. He thought to himself, anyway, I really did give it everything I had just now. He suggested, I want to measure my strength again after some time. I want to try the test one more time. Hyun-soo replied, yes, understood. You can come anytime you want. The measuring method will be the same as before. When you're ready, just come here. Seo Moon thought to himself while grabbing the rope, focus, I have to focus. He pulled with all his strength. The score was already very high. Seo Moon asked again. How much? Hyun-soo replied, 890 points, clearly higher than before. Will you take a short break now? Seo Moon refused. No, I just need to focus a little more. He thought to himself, just like during the agility test, I used muscular strength beyond my limits. How could this be happening? Have I gotten stronger? He kept thinking there's no way that's possible. Based on analysis, my abilities haven't changed at all, but for some reason I still feel like this has happened before. His feeling, Seo Moon suddenly remembered where it came from. That's right, it was at that moment I've experienced this feeling once before. I was left alone in the final dungeon and fought desperately. He recalled that moment. He had displayed extraordinary strength when facing death. A mental power that surpasses the limits of humanity will generate additional strength for other abilities. Mental strength had such an effect. He scratched his head. From now on, I don't even need to fight anymore. But his mental power and immortality just kept increasing. It felt like something was urging him to fight on a final battlefield. Now it's time to measure your soul count. Look at the orb in front of you. Place your hand on it and channel in as many souls as you can. The orb will change color afterward. The Seo Moon remarked, strange, back in the day, infusing souls into weapons was such a rough and violent process. A laugh echoed from outside. Now it's measured in the thousands. Because a large number of souls are generated during awakening, it's also a key factor in evaluating potential. Seo Moon added, it's really hard to raise soul power through training. He recalled that during his first assessment, his soul value was 96, and to gain the remaining 4 points, he had to meditate and learn how to breathe properly. I went through a lot of hardship. Then he placed his hand on the orb, but the people outside waited eagerly, wondering how much will his soul count increase. Right now my soul count is 100. That's the maximum a human can have. Measurement complete, measurement complete. The men observing from outside could only exclaim, oh my God, 1030. Seo Moon asked again. What's the score now? They stammered. Well, you just broke the highest record ever set by a human. Hyun-soo spoke up. You've just achieved the highest score in the history of mankind. Seo Moon smiled smugly. Of course, who do you think I am? The previous record had been set by 7 other heroes, with Miss Sharan holding 10-12 points. Seo Moon asked again. What the heck, that brat was the one who held the record before. Hyun-soo explained. That's right, we thought that record would never be broken. Well, at least her spiritual energy wasn't average. Her willpower was low, but her ego was extremely strong, so we used to argue all the time in the past. Seo Moon had once scolded her, do you even have a brain? At the very least, follow the proper method you yourself talked about. Sharan had responded indignantly, What I'm definitely doing it the right way. If she hears this news, she'll definitely cause a huge scene again. Hyun-soo said, with this record, all the measurements have been completed, but there's something I need to tell you. Seo Moon asked, what is it? He continued, I'm sorry, but because of the nature of immortality, it can't be used in this battle. Seo Moon thought to himself, all right then, this is a sport where victory comes from defeating the opponent. If I truly can't die, then no matter what happens, my team will always win. We're sorry for unfairly limiting your full abilities, and the association is planning to compensate you for that. Seo Moon replied, I don't care whether you restrict my immortality or not. I said I'd only do this once anyway. He continued, even so, I'll gladly accept the money, because now immortality can no longer be used anywhere. Somewhere else at that very moment, a voice declared, hear me, we shall receive salvation through him, and he is the only light left in our world. We must strengthen our faith even more, and at last salvation, a testimony to our belief, has appeared. We worship him. The person held up a newspaper, and on it was a photo of Seo Moon. He rejected death and returned. Seo Moon Yob is an immortal, a superpower, never seen before, an undying being. Is he a human or a god? The savior of us all, the god Seo Moon Yob. The man continued to proclaim to the followers below, now is the time for us to prove our existence and our faith in him. The crowd below chanted in unison, Seo Moon Yob, 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 Seo Moon Yob. Seo Moon stepped outside with Jaho and was startled to see those followers there. He spoke irritably, who the hell are these guys? They started chanting his name, Seo Moon Yob, Seo Moon Yob, our savior superhuman. You will save the whole world. Seo Moon pointed at them and said to Jaho, what is this? I don't think they're reporters. Jaho explained, worshipping Seo Moon, that's a fanatic cult. They revere you like a god. He asked, worshipping Seo Moon, then continued, now that I think about it, when I was still in the hospital, those bastards were standing out front too, right? Jaho replied, yeah, it was them. He wondered, but why would they worship someone as a god and make such a big deal out of it? Jaho explained, they believe the world will end again, and when it does, you'll come back to save the chosen ones. Seo Moon asked in frustration, what the hell, aren't they all just insane? Jaho replied, I thought so too, but you really did come back to life. The more Jaho explained, the darker Seo Moon's expression became. So now they're actually hoping for the end of the world, he said. Looks like I'm going to have to teach them a lesson. Jaho called out, trying to stop him. Hey, calm down. Where do you think you're going? Seo Moon replied. What do you mean? Are you acting like this is the first time you've met me or something? Jaho called out helplessly, hey! Seo Moon leapt high into the air. Then he landed on a wall, looked down at the crowd and spoke, all of you be quiet. They all looked up at him shouting, our savior hero. Seo Moon yelled, I said shut up, are you all deaf or what? After silence finally fell over the crowd, he continued, good, now stay quiet. Once he had their silence, he continued, good, now that you're quiet. Seo Moon said, now I clearly understand what you all think of me, they replied. Our hero, Seo Moon shouted, then stop whispering nonsense and get lost. You're all out of your minds. Seo Moon turned from side to side yelling, you idiots! What the hell are you doing out here in broad daylight? Don't you have anything better to do? Which moron is the leader of this Seo Moon cult or whatever, huh? If that guy suddenly drops dead from a rock falling on his head, just know it was me. They whispered among themselves, our savior is rejecting us. Is something wrong? No, he's our savior. That's right. He must be testing our faith, that's all. In unison they cried out, let's show him our faith. Then they shouted at the top of their lungs, Seo Moon Yob, 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 Seo Moon Yob. Seo Moon snapped, what the hell is this? Jaho grew concerned for them as he saw the look on Seo Moon's face. They're done for. Seo Moon warned 10 seconds. If you don't get out of here in 10 seconds, I'll kill every last one of you. Wait, Yob. But he shouted, I can kill anyone I don't like because I created a state with full immunity, he yelled while beating up the group of followers. They cried out, hey, stop it, Seo Moon. Stop, you insane bastard. 10 minutes later, the entire group of worshippers was lying sprawled out on the ground. Seo Moon grabbed a kid by the collar and said, "Hey, you little punk, after all this, do you still dare to follow me?" The boy burst into tears and cried out, "I won't follow you anymore." He let the kid go and said, "All right, good answer. Think about it carefully, and from now on, don't listen to anything those guys told you, understand? If you got it, then get down safely." He jumped to the ground. "I'm done here. Let's go back and train." Jaho continued, "My friend," Seo Moon replied. What Jaho remarked? "You're definitely the craziest person I've ever met in my life." Seo Moon answered, "Thanks for the compliment, but the real lunatics are those guys. How could they make such a fuss and turn me into a god without even asking for my permission?" Jaho replied, "I should probably stop talking. I feel like reporters are about to swarm this place, so we better head home quickly." Seo Moon responded, "I can only beat them up if they actually show up." Jaho continued, "You do realize that if you keep acting like this, tons of reporters will come, right? I used to chase away people who snooped around asking me about my time in the orphanage, just like this." High above a shadowy figure was watching them. The savior Seo Moon said, "I really don't understand why people are so obsessed with other people's lives." Jaho replied, "Yeah, exactly." He sensed something. Jaho asked, noticing his expression, "What's wrong, Yobi?" The figure on the other side vanished immediately. Seo Moon replied, "No, it's nothing." Meanwhile, at the charity match taking place at Incheon International Airport, it was indeed Joe Pellman himself who had come to Korea. All the world's most renowned figures had arrived as soon as they heard that Seo Moon Yob would also be participating. He said, "It's been 15 years since I last came here, but the return of Korea's superhuman is truly a rare event." The person beside him replied, "That's right." Pellman continued, "Thanks to participating in so many events, you could have become the best battlefield agent in the United States." Then she added, "But I ended up losing the diamond." The woman next to him responded, "It's pointless. Mr. Beck isn't involved in the battlefield, and from the very beginning, none of the 7 superhumans ever really cared about sports anyway." Even though Miss Sharan is young and seems interesting, she stepped back after her superpowers started to decline. But what can we do? The Avatar test footage of Miss Sharan was truly shocking. That's right, someone added, if the extinction beam keeps going like that, a match of 11 versus 11 would still end in just 3 seconds. Pellman laughed. "Forget the 2 chances I missed before. This time I won't miss it again. This is the opportunity to get the biggest diamond of all. Seo Moon Yob, the strongest superhuman in history. Seo Moon Yob, the strongest superhuman in history." She spoke up. "Wait." Pellman looked over there and he followed her gaze. Then another figure appeared. It was Jake Land, the American battlefield agent. Pellman frowned and thought to himself, Jake Land. Jake Land spoke as he saw Pellman. "Who is that, isn't it, Pellman?" he laughed. "This time we have to fight fair." Pellman clenched his teeth and thought to himself, "Touch, this doesn't look easy at all. But this time I definitely won't let it be stolen. Oh God, those 2. A hand covered in gold rings. A sparkling outfit appeared. They spoke the true culprit who destroyed our dungeon business. That man has now stepped onto the battlefield. He said he had no intention of becoming a player, but now he's already taken his first steps. Then they revealed themselves as the Moro brothers Jing Moro and Philip Moro. They laughed and said, "Seo Moon Yob, we will definitely get his signature. We absolutely must secure his signature, either through an autograph or a contract." That's right, I wanted to meet him in battle, but we never got the chance. The 3 forces stared at one another, each with their own purpose. Seo Moon Yob definitely cannot belong to anyone else. With the sound of heels striking in a steady rhythm, with calm and steady steps, the youngest member of the 7 superheroes, Shuran, spoke. "I came to see what that person is like." Outside Seo Moon's side, there are way too many people. It's a good thing the global population decreased a bit during the Underground War. Please don't say things like that. Don't make a scene. At least try to control yourself for today. This is quite an important event after all. He got out of the car. "All right, I'll think about it." Seo Moon smiled. "Then let's play." The crowd shouted his name, Seo Moon Yob. Seo Moon Yob. Jaho spoke. "Humph, what's so great about you?" Seo Moon replied, "It's thanks to you that I have such a flashy appearance." From afar, reporters rushed in, one after another. They called out Seo Moon Yob Beak, Jaho, please give us a quick interview. Jaho pushed him forward. You handle everything here, okay? And don't say anything weird. What the hell? Beak Jaho, he shouted. You bastard! You'll pay for this. How dare you use me as bait like that? A reporter spoke up, Seo Moon. What was the reason you assaulted members of the Seon Moon organization? You've been involved in a lot of controversies related to violence. Do you feel any regret for yourself? Today, you're participating in a charity battle, so how are you feeling right now? He thought to himself, you're dead, Beak Jaho. Miss Shuran, a hero, has come to Korea. How do you feel about seeing her again after 17 years? Seo Moon was surprised. Huh, Shuran. Did you just say Shuran? They replied, yes, Shuran has come to Korea. She said she came to watch the charity match. Seon continued to ask, why did she come here? The reporter explained she said she came to meet a younger person she knows who is participating in today's charity match. He clenched his teeth. Wait a minute, that younger person, could it be me? Seo Moon opened the door. People inside murmured, it's really Seo Moon. Let's see how powerful the main character of today's match is in real life. Today we can finally watch it live. Seo Moon approached Jaho. Hey Jaho, have you heard the news? He replied. Huh, what news? Seo Moon exclaimed. Shuran has come to Korea. He muttered. She's here already. Hayon chimed in. What, Shuran came to Korea? He placed a hand on Seo Moon's shoulder to reassure him. Take care, my friend, for now. Always carry a shield with you. Seo Moon asked, was I really that bad to her back then? Jaho sighed. You cursed her, even though Shuran wasn't fluent in Korean yet, but she understood the gist of it and cried out loud. He continued, even so, I hope she didn't come here today for revenge. She won't shoot out any destructive light beams, right? Let's see, if 17 years have passed, then with age she's probably forgotten everything. But her nature is still the same as back then, right at this moment, just like 17 years ago. The Chinese superhuman Shuran, a superhuman, chosen as one of the heroes to attack the final dungeon. The only daughter of a wealthy family, possessed terrifying superpowers and was under extremely strong protection from the government. This 17-year-old girl grew up like a queen. There was no other way. Impossible, Shuran screamed, making Seo Moon irritated. She was exactly the kind of person Seo Moon Yob hated the most. That's why Seo Moon Yob insulted her. Do whatever you want is your head just for decoration. He insulted again. Hurry up, are you a sloth or what? You can't even use your superpower. And once more, even a chicken can use superpowers better than you. You idiot, having superpowers but not knowing how to use them is the same as not having any. Hayon sighed and shook her head. Uncle, I wish you a peaceful passing. There are going to be 2 funerals soon. Jaho held his head. Well, anyway, let's deal with that later. There's something urgent right now. He announced, everyone please pay attention to the format of the charity match. I hope you're all clear. He continued, today, there are players experiencing Battlefield for the first time, so I'll give a brief explanation about the charity match. The charity match consists of Team Love and Team Hope and will be divided into 2 teams accordingly. As known, Team Love is the national team, while Team Hope includes selected players, except for Hayon. Instead, Team Hope will have the national team coach, which is me, Beak Jaho, and Seo Moon Yob will be participating as a player. He waved hello. Jaho scratched his head. It's been a while since I last handled a weapon, so I'm a bit nervous, but I'll do my best. The captain of Team Hope, Beak Junho, smiled. Haha, director, don't worry, we'll work hard together. Seo Moon thought to himself, good, even though it's been a while, Jaho is still 1,000 times better than those guys. With these stats, even just the 3 of us can handle it. The others, he thought to himself, there's nothing worth seeing when analyzing them with his eyes. But when he glanced at someone named Choi Hyuk, the guy spoke up. We're counting on you. He possessed the skill of focus, quickly channeling power into the weapon he was using, with resilience that always protected his body, making him hard to injure from external impacts. His physical strength stat was capped at 90. Seo Moon thought to himself, if he matures well, he'll become a great attacker. He waved, hey, you come here. Choi Hyuk responded, me. Yes, you. He quickly stepped forward. Yes, hello. My name is Choi Hyuk, a melee fighter. Ah, so you're melee. Seo Moon asked again, Did I hear that right? You're a melee fighter, he replied. Yes, I'm the melee type of the team. Seo Moon thought to himself, what is this guy saying? Is he insane? Then spoke. Wait, you're a melee player, not the main damage dealer. Choi Hyuk replied, yes, ever since I was a kid I wanted to become a main damage dealer like you, Seo Moon, but I ended up becoming a melee fighter because I was still too young. My superpowers are focus on weapons and resilience. Those are your superpowers. Yes, Seo Moon thought to himself, even after awakening his reinforcement-type powers, he still isn't self-aware. That's why he became a melee fighter. The coach who trained this guy must have judged based on appearance alone and randomly placed him in that role. He probably said something like, oh wow, that little guy is agile, what kind of attacker would he be? What kind of attacker, huh? That guy just declared you as a melee type. Seo Moon turned to Hayon, if you find a shield, bring it here. He spoke to her and she immediately left. Wait a sec. Seo Moon handed the shield to Hyuk. All right, this is for Hyuk. Hyuk responded, yes, this one. He continued, there's no time, so I'll just tell you the basics. Listen carefully, keep the shield on your left chest and only move your body while holding it. Step out to attack, then retreat behind the shield and hide. Advance, then retreat. Advance, then retreat. Got it? Choi Hyuk asked, But I'm a melee fighter, I don't use a shield. Seo Moon replied in a threatening tone, if I tell you to do it, then just do it. He thought in disbelief, I heard people say this guy's crazy, but I didn't think it was to this extent. Those below the stage also couldn't believe it and thought, how can someone's role be changed the first time they meet? What did Choi Hyuk even do wrong? Choi Hyuk responded, is it really okay if we're on the same team as that guy? Director Jaho firmly said, all right then, 4 attackers, 6 melee and 1 support. Hyuk thought to himself, Director, are you abandoning me too? Position adjustment complete now, everyone gear up. Seo Moon commented, oh, light armor, huh? Is it okay? It's light but feels as solid as wartime armor. Is there anything uncomfortable? Seo Moon asked with concern. Are you all right, Jaho? You're not that young anymore. Jaho replied, this is really awkward. I didn't think I'd end up wearing this uniform. He continued, the weapon's fine too, right? I've prepared one for you, the one you used at the beginning, just slightly modified. Seo Moon mumbled in response. He continued, it's also easy to open and fold. You modified it pretty well, didn't you? I worked on it very carefully. After all, this is the legendary weapon that once saved the Earth, right? I haven't even had it for a full year yet. Jaho reminded him, don't be careless. I know you're strong, but the ones you'll be facing are all monsters. They've been trained specifically for battles like this. Although their skills may be weaker than those from other countries, they still have more real combat experience than you. They said themselves that they're more experienced than us. Seo Moon replied, is that so? I'll keep that in mind, Director Beak. He raised his thumb and said, then let's take a good look at the techniques of these so-called experienced juniors. The crowd grew excited as the 2 teams slowly stepped forward. In this battle, let's see if the national team has any decent members. The opposing team had an average score of around 70, which was much higher than their own team's average of 60, but it wasn't too bad. Although the other team had higher stats, there was nothing particularly special about them. Seo Moon leaned toward Jaho and whispered, hey Jaho, when selecting players, did you use a scoring system? The scores are based on several criteria, and the final score is the total sum, right? Jaho replied, yeah, I know. Seo Moon looked around and thought to himself, that's a general scoring method. It doesn't identify who truly excels in any specific role. Seo Moon's eyes stopped on someone. That guy's chewing gum, what now? His overall abilities weren't bad. This guy's intelligence is absolute trash. His limit is 60, but he only reached 26. This kid is probably some spoiled brat forced into the team through connections. Seo Moon will never use him. The guy spoke up. Hey, old man, what are you staring at? Seo Moon replied, you're talking to me, the guy answered. Yeah, you old man. He thought to himself, Seo Moon Yob. Just like in the recent Korea versus US match in the first round, that guy led the Korean team horribly. He doesn't even understand how this game works. Seo Moon spoke to someone on the team. Hey, switch places with me for a bit. Stand next to this guy. Then he turned to the kid. So you seem to have a lot of complaints about me, huh? The guy glanced at him and replied, Of course I do. In the last match against the US, you really thought you did well, old man. I think you did a terrible job, old man. You don't know anything about this game. Seo Moon scoffed. Oh, the kid continued arrogantly. What are you laughing at? That match was a disgrace to Korea. Seo Moon cut him off. What position does your father hold? Vice president of the association or something? The kid asked, Is that what you think, old man? Seo Moon replied, Isn't it true? The announcement echoed, All players, please enter the stadium. Let's go, you spoiled little brat, Seo Moon said. The guy quickly interrupted. Wait, what do you mean, spoiled brat? Why are you dragging my dad into this? Seo Moon asked back. What are you doing then? I don't understand how a kid ended up being raised with such disrespect. You know, kid, I grew up in hardship. That's why I hate spoiled trash like you. Because of that, I've got the motivation for this match. A disrespectful brat shouted, You're done for, kid. At the player's entrance, a wave of cheers erupted. Seo Moon Yob, Seo Moon Yob. Finally, the long-awaited moment has arrived. Seo Moon Yob is now standing in the battlefield arena as a player. Although this is just a charity match and not an official game, I dare say no match has ever attracted as much attention as today's. Among the seated crowd, we can spot many famous faces. Walker, a member of the US National Battlefield Team. Pellman, a battlefield representative, and Jake Land, another battlefield representative. Sharan the seventh ranked hero, along with the Moro brothers, owners of the Paris Lumi Battlefield Club. Now the first round of the long-awaited charity match officially begins with two commentators taking turns narrating the event. Right from the stands, the first battle will take place in Azusa's spiral-shaped shell, a dungeon with 3 circular levels leading downward. Located in the central area, monsters will appear including Archne Skoton. All current members of the national team Love the Team, that includes the hero from 17 years ago, and Team Hope are surely the victors. 10 minutes ago, Jaho spoke quietly to the entire team. I will begin the briefing. Everyone please listen carefully. The key point of this match is that our Team Hope will be in Zone 5, Team Love will be in Zone 1. We will begin a bit unconventionally, like most teams. After hunting in Zones 5 and 1, we will move to 5.2, and the main force will remain there and continue hunting. Seo Moon will move alone to 5.3. He will capture the boss of Zone 5, because once the Zone 5 boss is defeated, Zone 5 will collapse. That will be the perfect time for us to complete the hunt simultaneously. Seo Moon, standing to the side, responded, All right, I'll do it slowly. The others frowned and murmured upon hearing that burp alone. Isn't it supposed to be at least 5 people? Even in the strongest team, it takes 3 people working together to take down the boss. Not even waiting for them to finish their sentence, Beak Jaho immediately interrupted. After that, we'll infiltrate by making a small circle through that path into Zone 6. From this moment on, we will seriously confront the other team. If we encounter the opponent, Seo Moon Yob will engage to buy time in small-scale battles. Our strength is superior, so we can achieve good results. Seo Moon Yob thought to himself. He believed the team could still win even in an 11 versus 11 match. This guy Beak, since taking over as the head coach of the national team, had become increasingly timid. Well, this is a game with a best-of-3 mode, so let's make sure to grasp everything clearly. Let's play the first round with moderation and then come back strong in the second round. Currently at Zone 5, the starting point of Team Hope Jaho shouted loudly, Power location. Main manager is defender Beak Hayon. Support manager is midfielder Beak Jaho Tank. Midfielder is Seo Moon. And finally, the other tank midfielder is Hyuk. Hyuk's face turned pale as he thought, I'm the tank. Seo Moon smirked provocatively and said, Well, it's been a while, huh? Look up at that pitch-black ceiling. Right after that, a swarm of elite spiders crawled down from above, a horde of giant spiders with terrifying glowing red eyes. Area 11, the starting point of Team Love team captain Chae Woo-hyun, frowned and shouted, Yongsu, attack the spider. He immediately replied, Even if you didn't tell me, I'd still know to attack. Yongsu hurled a large fireball toward the spiders, and they were quickly engulfed in blazing red flames. Main manager of Team Love Yongsu clenched his teeth and cursed repeatedly. Damn it, damn it. That guy dared to act like that, even though he knew who I am, that insolent brat. You're dead for sure. I won't let you go anywhere, damn it. Seo Moon Yob's seventh hero, or whatever. No matter what happens, just go to hell. Shim Yong-soo unleashed fierce sparks toward the spider-like monsters, shouting, "You'll die by my hand, Seo Moon Yob." Meanwhile, on the other side, Seo Moon Yob smirked, "Let's go, Jaho." And in a flash, the two of them had moved to the support team's location. Baek Jaho leapt onto Moon Yob's shield, using it to spring high into the air, then quickly drew his sword and, in an instant, wiped out a swarm of zombie spiders, their blood and corpses dripping down grotesquely. "Yob, I fell," he shouted, to which Moon Yob immediately replied, "I'm coming," re-energized. Baek Jaho leapt onto the shield again and continued slicing down another wave of spiders outside the two commentators, and the audience were extremely excited and amazed as they watched the battle. This is incredible, the legendary duo fight. It's usually hard to deal with Archnie, even with dozens of people in a team, yet those two took care of it in just a moment. After wiping out all the Archnie spiders in the area, both Baek Jaho and Seo Moon Yob were completely unscathed. "All right, ceiling cleanup done. Ugh, my back. Then let's head over and take care of the other side." They continued their flawless teamwork, wiping out everything in their path. Choi Hyuk stood silently on the side, unable to hide his amazement. Even though Archnie has relatively low endurance, if you can't pierce through its tough shell, it's all pointless. Yet he took them down so easily, he doesn't even look that strong on the outside. Right after that, Seo Moon Yob gripped his sharp spear tightly, using his supernatural power to boost the strength of his attack. Choi Hyuk flinched slightly in surprise as he watched. Look at that, he had used his supernatural power to focus Oro, quickly channeling it into his weapon. "It's my first time using a shield, so it still feels unfamiliar. I'm just applying the usual Oro infusion into my weapon. Not just the weapon, I can also focus Oro into the shield." Following Seo Moon Yob's lead, he charged forward with determination. "Let's try it out." With a single slash, Choi Hyuk was able to take down one Archnie spider. As he attacked, he thought focus Oro when attacking or defending. Seo Moon Yob stood to the side, observing him and thinking, "Oh, that guy's improved his skills. Good, good. I can't just stand here watching either." Just then, another Archnie suddenly lunged at him, sticking out its grotesquely long tongue and spewing out a stream of poison. Seo Moon Yob quickly raised his shield to block the attack, then drove his spear straight into the creature's throat. But it didn't stop there. More monsters charged at him one after another. Yet Seo Moon Yob slaughtered them all in the blink of an eye. The Boro brothers watching were thrilled and shouted excitedly, "That technique, that's Seo Moon Yob's signature move, 100-meter throw. Right, Miss Suran?" Suran replied coldly, "Yes, that's right." Though she was thinking to herself, 100-meter throw may look like an ordinary spear throw at first, but in reality it's a technique that utilizes his superhuman throwing power. When he throws it, the spear instantly flies at max speed, and before it even reaches 100 centimeters, he already grasps the spear's endpoint. It's essentially a high-speed stab. He gains far greater power this way than simply relying on brute force. And while using that insane skill of catching a bullet just fired, he even wears a satisfied grin on his face. To an average person, it might look like just a normal thrust. That technique involves not a single mistake throughout the entire process of throwing and catching the spear. He does it as naturally as breathing, 17 years ago and now again. "What bad luck, Seo Moon Yob," someone muttered, while on the other side, Seo smirked confidently. "Let's finish off that direction too, shall we?" At that moment, another Archnie suddenly charged from behind, but Moon Yob instantly reacted, turned around, and swiftly stabbed it with his spear. Then he raised the spear high and threw it with perfect accuracy straight into the center, wiping out the remaining spiders. After clearing them all, Baek Jaho gathered the team and said, "All right, 5-1 is completely cleared. Everyone did great. Now we'll head to 5-2, and Seo Moon Yob. Huh, where did he go?" He looked around in confusion. Choi Hyuk frowned and asked, "Right after finishing off the Archnie, he ran off, didn't he?" He recalled Seo's earlier words. According to strategy next, we're handling zone 5 to 3. Hurry and follow me. He said it like there was something exciting waiting. Baek Jaho sighed heavily. Sigh, I get it. Well, if Yob decided that, then he's probably right. Even though he seems reckless on the outside, he's actually the type who thinks things through and takes action. All right, let's move to 5-2. Yes, sir. At that moment in zone 5 to 3, Hello Seo Moon Yob spoke quietly to the monster before him, the zone 5 boss, Surburn. Just like yesterday, he muttered. As Surburn locked its sharp gaze on him, Seo Moon Yob exhaled slowly, reminding himself, focus, focus, I'm here now. Hearing this, Surburn let out a roar and charged at him. Its attack was so powerful that even Seo Moon Yob was forced to retreat a few steps. He gripped his spear tightly, then leapt into the air and drove it hard into Surburn's body. Smiling, Moon Yob asked, Oh, you're here already? I thought the others would need more time to finish clearing their zone. He sat arrogantly atop the corpse of the monster,